This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com. The only place to be in your pop culture world.
Come on, Rudy. Come on. We call it the place to be. The place to be. Yes, it's the place to be. Then I shall be there.
It is contagious. It is the place to be, and we are live each and every Monday.
Do you actually need a camera for tout, or is it like part of the program?
Tomorrow got no place to be.
Yeah, I like big dick myself.
I was just the man you see and the place to be.
Do you listen at all when I speak on the show?
I'm not the one who thrives on whining about carriages that are 3 inches from my fucking car.
So if it's too much for you and your big cock of the walk Knights of Columbus fat cat,
when does it end,
to bring
JR?
the carriage back to the fucking thing, then what do you want? What do you want?
When does it
You're
end?
making the poor guy making minimum wage while you're sitting there with our Mento going through the coffers. Party people in the place to be.
5 years. 5 years! We've been doing podcasts. And we have this. This is trash.
It's not Austin in LA. It's not Cabana in Chicago. It's not Conrad down in Alabama. Place to Be Nation presents Scott Criscolo and JT Rosero. This is the Place to Be Podcast.
To do worse than Josh Richard.
Place to Be Nation, welcome to another great episode of the one and only Place to Be Podcast. I'm your co-host, Justin Rosero, with you live here on this Monday evening inside the PTB studios. And it's not just any Monday night, it is a very special Monday night. Not only is it a milestone episode, not only is it a great pay-per-view to close out a interesting year in the land of Dirty F, it's also my PIC's birthday today. And I don't know if you ended up doing the research we were talking about earlier. Is this the first time we recorded on one of our birthdays? I guess we'll find out. But happy birthday to you, Scott Criscolo.
Thank you, JR. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 550 of the longest-running episodic You Bet Your Motherfucking Ass Gold Standard. And guess when we first recorded on my birthday? The first year we recorded, 2011.
All right, that sounds familiar.
So, because even back then, right? We flipped on the same night, right? You edited and flipped on the same night, pretty much, right?
Yeah, it could have been the next morning by the time I got it posted. So we might have actually recorded the night before. It's hard to.
All right. Well, because I'm looking back, episode 36, June 1st, 2011, we did SummerSlam '89, the first SummerSlam '89. So we'll, we're not sure about that. So if that counts, then we go way back. Let's go to December.
I wonder, too, we're probably not that far off from being 500 episodes since the first Survivor Series 90, because I think that would have been around in the late 40s, episode number-wise. Right. So,
nope, our first year we fell... let's put it this way. If we recorded the day before, then on your birthday in 2011, because episode 87, which was a headlines and NFL Week 14, was posted on December 8th. 2011.
All right, there's a chance.
We might have. So I'm sure. So anyway, the point is, I'll keep looking as we move ahead this evening. But I'm sure we've probably done it multiple times. And not only is it my birthday, and thank you everyone, Place to Be Nation, the family, for giving me wishes either on private messenger or on Facebook. Thank you, greatly appreciated. But it is also the 7th birthday of PlaceToBeNation.com, June 1st, 2013.
Yep.
And still going strong. So, and the highlight of my day today, JR, was the same as probably the highlight of your day. I got a haircut.
Yes. Who would have thought this is
awesome.
where we'd be, celebrating haircuts. But, it felt good.
Yeah, it felt fucking amazing. So, anyway, let's take a look real quick. So, what do we say? SummerSlam '89 was June of 11. So, WrestleMania 11 was December. So, let's see, September maybe? Nope. Further back than that. August.
Well, I always, like I say, I always know the Rumble 91 is right around 50, so I think it's right before that. It's probably like in the 40s.
Rumble 91 was for, all right, let's see. So we'll probably go to June. So, wow, do we blow through in June? Because shit.
Oh yeah,
if my
'cause then you went on
birthday
your
was
cruise and all that. So
the Royal Caribbean cruise. So let's go to July. So SummerSlam. Let's see. WrestleMania 7 was episode 49. Episode 45, July 7th, 2011 was the first time we did this.
all right, there you go. Almost. So episode 40. Which number? 45.
45,
Okay,
and
so almost 500 later, we're doing it again. There you go.
Yep. And guess what? We had a guest for that one as well.
It was Jeremy Nichols, wasn't it?
It was Jeremy Nichols. Yes, it was.
Okay.
So
that was the one where he laughed uncontrollably at the gym.
Yes. Yes, that's right.
All right. Anyway, so speaking of old season 1 and OGs and men who wish they could get haircuts, usual guest for these pay-per-view endeavors is Mr. Johnny D'Amato. Johnny, how are you?
All right, boys. Happy anniversary, and Scotzo, happy birthday.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Quite a difference. Last year, you got to spend the morning doing one of your favorite things, volunteering with your knights, and then you spent the evening at a great takeover in Bridgeport at NXT, and then you capped off the night, staring into a nice pair of Hooters. And
that is right. Yes.
A year later, you probably ended the night staring into Armento's Hooters.
I was gonna say, yeah, someone's Hooters at that table. I know.
They weren't quite as voluptuous.
Quite a year. It's been quite a year. Geez.
That explains 2020 in a nutshell.
All right. It's crazy to think a year ago we actually were at a live event right now. It's kind of sad, depressing.
And a restaurant, yeah.
Yes, and a restaurant. It's even more sad.
Quite fitting that tonight we are doing a show in the state of Connecticut, which is happen too often. But guys, I'm glad we're all healthy, and where things are not great at the moment, it is always good that we are here doing what we do best. So, GR, we ready to dive in? Was there anything else you'd like to add?
No,
I
think we may as well. No, fuck them all. That's enough. I spent enough time with that. So let's go ahead. And time. That's my whole life, Like even today, I took a day off, and it's
to bed.
Yeah, I took the day off, and it's pretty much the same as every other day anyway. So
that should be your autobiography. Smoking meats, bitch. You're perfecting that, by the way. The weekend roasts are coming out quite well, I have to say.
Trying. This last one, left a little too long. I wasn't too happy with myself, but I'll get there.
They look good. All right. Of course, this evening, since Mr. D'Amato's in the house, we of course in the Page Show realm. Survivor Series 1990, the final pay-per-view of the first year of the decade. November 22nd, 1990, from the Civic Center here in Hartford, Connecticut. So the first pay-per-view ever from the home state of the World Wrestling Federation.
And it was also just about a year ago, Johnny, that we were in that building for Money in the Bank last year.
Money in the Bank, that's right.
Yes, a lovely city. Despite Mr. Criscolo's criticisms.
Hey, that barbecue place was worth the drive.
Yeah, I got to find it still. I got to find that barbecue place.
No, it's probably not
Fairs,
open.
yeah.
Very nice. It was a good picture of you, Johnny, there that day. That was one of the D'Amato posterity pictures that evening. I think you're doing some type of gyrating dancing thing for somebody. So, anyway, sadly, we're not doing that this year, which sucks. 16,000 in the building, including my brother. My brother was at this show. I was not. I was at my aunt's. It was Thanksgiving. But my brother got to go. Your announcers, Gorilla Monsoon, and the Hot Rod, Rowdy Roddy Piper, his second pay-per-view outing after his SummerSlam outing. No house shows, of course. Everybody is in Hartford for the big show. JR, what do we got for news and notes? And are we lighting any herbs this evening?
Just one herb we'll hit in a moment. But let's talk about what's going on since our last outing. That was in MSG on October 19th. Next day on Superstars, we had footage of Jake Roberts having his eye bandages removed, followed by the announcement that Roberts would appear on the Brother Love show the next week. There's also an announcement that Nikolai Volkov, Tito Santana, and the Bushwhackers would face Sergeant Slaughter, Akeem, and the Orient Express at Survivor Series. The next day on Challenge, Gene Okerlund conducted an interview with Rick Martel on location at an optometrist's office, making light of blinding Jake the Snake. A week later on Superstars, Jake Roberts was a guest on the Brother Love show, in which Rick Martel appeared before Roberts with a walking stick to give the blinded Roberts. Moments later, Jake came out with the help of Tony Gurria. Martel eventually returned to the set and teased him and slapped him before he got led away by officials. Seconds later, Roberts hit the DDT on Brother Love thinking it was Martel, and in the scuffle, Roberts' glasses fell off, revealing his injured eye. Of course, that's the really, I don't want to call it legendary, but pretty classic Brother Love guffaw before he gets DDT'd. And then Jake nails him. We get highlights of the Dusty Rhodes-Randy Savage match from Saturday's main event with comments from DiBiase after saying that Dustin wouldn't last 10 minutes in a ring with him. We could have an announcement from Jack Tunney that Rick Rude has been indefinitely suspended. Bobby Heenan would fulfill all of Rude's commitment to get the Big Boss Man. Heenan was also banned from talking negatively about the Boss Man's mother again. Of course, in reality, as we talked about previously, Scott, Rude had left the WWF. So this is officially the writing off of him on TV on the October 27th Superstars. That'd pretty much be it. Mm-hmm. In the Survivor Series report, it was announced that Jake Roberts would team with Jimmy Snuka on the Rockers against Rick Bartel, Warlord, and Power and Glory, and that Haku would be replacing Rick Rude in their match, and Boris Zhukov would replace Akeem, who had also left the WWF.
What a downgrade.
On that same show, it was a busy one. Davey Boy Smith made his return to the WWF, his TV return, that is, beating the Brooklyn Brawler. His 2-year absence ended there on TV. On October 28th challenge, Gene Okerlund conducted an interview with Randy Savage and Sensational Sherry, in which Savage said he would be the next world champion and that Ultimate Warrior would be known as the Ultimate Loser, and Savage would take his belt. The next week on Superstars, Bobby Heenan was a guest of the Brother Love show, where Love appeared in a neck brace after the DDT he got. Heenan apologized to Big Boss Man, saying he truly meant it, even got on his knees for a moment of silence with Brother Love. Dustin Rhodes defeated Ted DiBiase when Dustin survived the 10-minute time limit. Pre-match Stipp said if he could last 10 minutes, he'd be declared the winner. After the bout, DiBiase pushed Dusty off the apron and hit Dustin with the belt. 11-10 Superstar Sapphire made her final appearance during a Ted DiBiase promo, and she went off to pasture. Barbarian defeated Red Tyler with a close off the top. Bobby Heenan cut an insert promo saying he would vow by Jack Tunney's decision not to discuss the Big Boss Man's mother anymore, and then he stopped trying to stop himself laughing at a mocked-up picture Barbarian held up of Boss Man's mom. Legion of Doom defeated Orient Express by disqualification when Axe, Smash, and Crush all interfered. LOD was assaulted by all 5 wrestlers, with Fuji using his cane, and the show went off the air while LOD were still being beaten down. This was Fuji's official reunion with Demolition. Of course, that had ended almost 2 years earlier at Survivor Series 88. And finally, on the 11-11-90 challenge, Rick Bartel defeated Tito Santana by disqualification when a blinded Jake Roberts came down and mistakenly attacked Santana, thinking it was Martel. After the bout, Santana gave Roberts a microphone and said he would get Martel in due time. All right, as we mentioned last episode, guys, this is our final Herb note. So we have one for you from November 15th. And he'll be back in time for the Rumble, 91 Rumble. He takes the little break here from mid-November into late January. So our next couple episodes, sadly, will have no Herb. But let's enjoy what we got here. The Rockers did indeed lose the WWF Tag titles, but they didn't have to wrestle to do it. Here's the explanation. As you all know, the Rockers won the belts from the Hart Foundation at a Saturday's main event taping that was set to air November 24th. Apparently disgruntled with having to wear masks and play second fiddle to Legion of Doom, Demolition, Axe, and Smash quit the WWF on Sunday. So this leaves Vince with some shaken-up programs. Only 5 tag teams. The Legion of Doom, the Rockers, Power and Glory, Orient Express, and Bushwhackers. The last 2 are duds, leaving only 3 real teams. But it seems Jim Neidhart will now stay on for a while, giving the Hart Foundation a new life. Apparently Vince likes having an even number of tag teams in his group. Secondly, the Rockers-Harts match will be edited so that the Rockers win, but do not get the titles. There's no word on Demolition, Crush, but Axe and Smash are headed to Japan. This causes little confusion about the future programming for the tag belts. Rumors said that Vince wanted LOD to face Power and Glory, so will Vince have to work the titles to LOD before then? All right, a lot to digest in this one. So Demolition, obviously, whether they were bitching or not, didn't quit. So maybe word of Axe quitting made its way around, and it sounded like Demolition was going as a team. But, of course, as we know, Smash and Crush do hang around. Axe does leave after tonight's show. And the Hart Foundation, that's all true. Neidhart was going to leave. They stay. And, of course, we don't end up seeing the airing of the Harts Rockers tag match. Any thoughts on this note, guys?
I mean, I'm pretty stunned. It's amazing how thin the tag division is just 1 year after we had. I mean, 89 was just so loaded. And then and then the teams just fell off the wayside. And it's a bummer. It's a bummer for the Rockers because if they really worked their asses off these 2 years and they could have had a nice little run, and it's a bummer they didn't. Demolition. I mean, we'll talk more about Demolition when we do the opening match, but they're a fucking mess. You could put them with the fucking Bushwhackers at this point, to be honest with you. I mean, it's rough. It's rough that the tag division is so thin, because we were talking, JR, on the last show, how the roster's starting to kind of right itself a little bit, but it's amazing once you read that how thin the tag division is. Really is.
Yep. John, any thoughts on the tag?
What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, no, Herb wasn't too far off on this one so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him a pass on the Demolition one. I'm guessing the word was making the rounds that Axe had quit, and maybe it sounded like it was both. And
they were going to leave as a team.
Yeah, they were going to go. And maybe they were originally. Who knows? And then maybe Vince convinced Smash to stay. But the Saturday main event we mentioned above will actually air November 23rd at 10 p.m. as a primetime special. Maybe meant 8. Oh, I guess it would be 10 for him. I think we've been through this before. The bouts to be aired will be Rockers versus Heart Foundation, Ultimate Warrior versus Ted DiBiase, and Kurt Hennig versus Big Boss Man, of course. 2 of the 3 do air. Latest rumor about the Egg at Survivor Series is Mark Calloway coming in to work as the Eggman. That is doubtful, since Calloway will apparently work with Hogan and get a super push, but I just can't picture Hulk Hogan wrestling the Eggman. So that'd be an interesting take on this. But it seems like even this late in the game, the rumors of what was in that egg still were unclear. I guess they kept this one pretty good under lock and key.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I was trying to remember. I can't imagine anybody taking that seriously at all. I mean, yeah, it's Federation. We're kind of in the back prime of the Federation era. But, I mean, even me, I mean, I was 17, so I obviously wasn't taking it seriously. But I couldn't even imagine, 9 or 10 or 11-year-olds even wondering what the fuck was coming out of that thing. It was not going to be like a real wrestler by any stretch.
I mean, I think I thought it was probably going to be, though. I mean, what else would it... Normally when they do something like this, like what else... It's always been a wrestling thing, so I guess... I think as a kid, I probably thought it was going to be some sort of wrestler. I didn't think it was going to be a giant... wherever the fuck it is. Like, we'll end up seeing it later, but... Johnny, what did you think it was going to be at the time?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was going to be a new incoming hot heel.
Like King Kong Bundy
coming out of an egg.
young up and coming heel.
Maybe not Bundy, like somebody that was rumored that was going to jump from WCW.
Blair.
or Mark Calloway. I mean, the Car Callis. That seemed like the obvious answer, but it just worked out that they had much bigger things for him, and they could end up doing it that way, which is good. But anyway, we'll get to that further later. Ric Flair has challenged Buddy Landel to a match to determine who gets to use the title Nature Boy and who cannot. I've been reminded that the Midnight Express quit the NWA before, returned months later, so let's not lose hope that Stan and Jim will be back. In the meantime, Bobby Eaton has a title shot against Sting this weekend that apparently drew a lot of heat. Lex Luger taped an episode of Superboy last week. I waited to report on it until I knew when the episode was airing. It's the first week of December. He plays a villain that clashes with Superboy. He does okay until Stan Hansen does a run-in and demolishes him with his cowbell. Okay, only half of that scenario is true. So, there you go. And that'll do it for Herb for about a month and a half in our timeline here, guys. We'll see you in January.
Yep. Poor Herb.
All right, with all that behind us, why don't we go ahead and head inside the Hartford Civic Center. Vince McMahon narrates us through the card to kick us off, of course, as always, whether it's Survivor Series or Royal Rumble. Gorilla Monsoon and Roddy Piper welcome us into the arena, set things up for the night ahead, including the debut of the grand finale match and the giant egg that is set to hatch tonight. Piper also shouts out the armed forces around the world and takes his shots at Saddam Hussein, as he usually does on commentary during this time. We then go backstage for an interview to kick things off. Mean Gene is with the Warriors. Hawk says he doesn't know his thoughts, but he'll do whatever it takes. Tornado says we've seen what Demolition and Perfect can do. Now you'll see what we can do. Animal says they won't let their fans down. Warrior says all the Warriors that made sacrifices will follow him tonight. There's no cure or medicine to cure them, and Perfect and Demolition won't survive. The usual Warrior garble. And that does bring us to our opening match, featuring the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, teaming up with Texas Tornado, the Intercontinental Champion, and Legion of Doom, taking on Mr. Perfect and all 3 members of Demolition. And it was funny seeing Demolition and Mr. Fuji strutting out to Mr. Perfect's theme song. It was quite the scene, and
Yes,
Bobby with them too.
I just wanted to comment on the on the LOD's promo where they shouted out the Little Doomers. Was that to you, Scotty?
That's right. Yes.
You were a little doomer.
I was a little doomer. That's right.
Did you give your little doomer some action on your birthday weekend?
I saw you with your man, smiling.
All right, there they are.
That's right.
I'm watching them from behind the fence.
Rucka.
And also getting back to the open, Gorilla Roddy had a nice puffy shirt straight out of the Kramer line.
Yes, they did.
And his hair was popping. His hair was looking sexy. He will definitely not be getting the worst hair vote from me. He was. I gotta. Too bad he's not around. I gotta check out his. He'd have some quarantine hair tips for me because his hair was sexy.
That puffy shirt is like his look for a while here throughout '91. Even that's the leather coat with the puffy shirt and the kilt. No masks.
Popping hair, yeah.
Speaking of hair, we have no masks tonight for Demolition, and we have Axe's wild pompadour. Just, I guess maybe this is what it usually looked like. He just didn't slick it back tonight. I'm not sure, but it is.
Low flow showers.
This is the fucking dude that came tonight and just was like cashing a check and did not give a shit.
Oh, yeah.
He's playing out the string.
Oh my god.
Full senioritis for Axe. He just did not care at all. It's whatever. On the opposite side, Perfect looks great. Completely in control of the gimmick. A great pairing with Bobby. We get big pops for all the Warriors. An impressive looking team up and down. I thought Warrior actually looked like Liberty Bell tonight from Glow. He had the hair blown out and the red, white, and blue on. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was the first thing that popped in my head. Gorilla thinks LOD will be champ sooner or later. Animal and Smash open things up. Animal beats the piss out of him, as does everyone on the apron landing shots. Smash lands a shot to the head and a suplex or two. Takes Animal to the corner. Perfect tags in. He chops and punches away. Tags back Smash. Animal hits a power slam. That triggers a big brawl. And then Tornado comes in, uses his fists on Smash, who stumbles back and tags Axe. Axe clubs away. Tornado claws him until Smash makes a save. Warrior gets a tag and hits a flying shoulder block and a splash, and that sends Axe packing once and for all. So sad fall from grace from him over the course of 1990. But that is his last appearance in the WWF. Still to this day. He's never returned.
Nope.
Crush
Poor
Smash.
prick. They threw him in there for about 10 seconds. They said, get in there and take the pin before you get a heart attack and get on back out there. Get back to the locker room safely.
Yep. And then
before you have a stroke.
And he was like, I just ate some bad fish. And that was it. They never agreed again. All right, Crush, Smash, and Perfect all come in. Warrior cleans house until Crush hits a clothesline. Warrior eventually battles back and mows him down, tags Hawk. Hawk smacks him around and tags Perfect. Perfect tags in. He's the big clothesline. Hawk whips him around violently, but then misses a hard charge to the corner. He slams into the post. Smash gets the tag and works the shoulder. So does Crush. Smash is back, and Hawk comes off the top with a clothesline. Dick comes back to the clothesline, keeps on loading instead of tagging. Hawk goes up top now, hits another flying clothesline on it, but Crush makes a save at the count. Animal comes in, all four guys start brawling. They hit the ref. The ref calls for the double DQ, and in a very lame way, the Legion of Doom, Smash, and Crush are all disqualified. I guess it protects Legion of Doom, but it still felt kind of chintzy to start the show this way. And it also puts Perfect against the odds, which is an odd way to book a... the heel. So I don't know how else you do it. You're already going to do the 4-on-1 stuff later, so you couldn't have all four survive. So I guess this is the best way to take LOD out without taking a pin, but it just felt a little wonky. I think it just all comes down to Demolition being soft at this point and not believable enough to beat Demolition, LOD in any way.
Yeah, I would assume that.
Yeah, and it's a reminder of the shitty refereeing from the '89 Survivor Series. With that nonsense with Zeus, so it seems to be a recurring theme with the officiating on Thanksgiving is a little wonky. Yeah, they should. It doesn't really make sense because you should have just disqualified one person from each. So,
right. I mean, Crush could take a pin, or Smash. Either one really could take a pin here. Like, why not have them get pinned? And then maybe LOD gets, and then maybe they brawl and LOD gets countered out. I don't know. It's probably whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're kind of stuck because Axe was so worthless, And they had to be another heel on the roster somewhere. They could have stuck in here and just had Axe like at ringside or something. I mean, at least to make it a little more even. I don't know who. I don't know who's out there, but someone. So anyway, Perfect's against the odds now. Warrior comes in, but Perfect demands Tornado. They oblige. Tornado hammers away, knocks Perfect over the floor. Tornado's on fire as Bobby regroups with Perfect. Warrior comes out and spikes their heads together and then throws Bobby into the fans as Tornado keeps banging on Perfect. Tornado charges. Now he rams the post, just like Hawk earlier. Perfect lands some rights and a tight knee lift. Perfect lands some more shots, hits the Perfect Plex, and eliminates the IC champion. That's a big win. It's impressive. He hangs on and knocks out Tornado to even things up. Warrior comes flying in, but Perfect sidesteps him. He careens into the top turnbuckle. Perfect scoops him up, gets the Powerplex, but Warrior blows out of it to a big pop. Perfect keeps punching away, hits a nice standing dropkick. Perfect maintains control as the crowd is rallying the champ. Perfect gets a lot of offense here, working over the champion pretty good. Warrior comes back firing as he heats up and mows through Perfect with some clotheslines, flying tackles before hitting the splash for the win to advance to the grand finale match. Warrior nails Bobby and celebrates, and it's a good finish. I mean, Perfect looks strong to the end, eliminates Tornado, hangs with Warrior, and Warrior looked good too, even though it's a weird spot for him. He's opening the show. He's kind of got he's against a shaky team. They don't really have him set up for success, but he delivers anyway. And that's just how the roster is at this point. So, fine opener. They kept an upbeat pace. I went 2.5 stars, Scott.
Yeah, I did as well. 2.5 stars there. Your match time, I won't go through the eliminations, but the total match time was 13:23. This was fun overall. Perfect looked great. You could tell he's kind of, after the upset loss at SummerSlam, he's definitely kind of been rebooted here and looks amazing. You're definitely right, JR, on that. Demolition just looks so like fucking, it's amazing. You know, this wasn't a long-term thing where they just, I mean, we're just talking April 1st. They were on top of the world. I mean, one of our favorite moments in the history of WrestleMania at Skydome. And now we fast forward and they're just like a bunch of chumps. I mean, Axe definitely is like, yeah, he probably walked in, threw on a little makeup, threw the shit on. All right, let's get this fucking over with. I mean, it's pretty evident.
Sad. I mean, they did fall apart real quick. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
It makes you wonder, really, like, were they already on fumes at 6, and it's just that moment is so good, you don't realize it, you know? I don't know. Because it happened so quickly. Like, what is it? Is it the heel turn? Is it just, like, people started to get bored of him by then? I know Crush doesn't help, but I feel like it happens even before he shows up a little bit, so... It's weird. It's like as soon as they win those titles, the switch flipped, and that was it.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing is, I think it might have been hidden by the fact that Andre was on fumes as well. So, I mean, maybe he's on more fumes because he's older. But who knows? But although I don't know, was Andre even older than Axe? Who the hell knows? But LOD, I mean, maybe it's because LOD is so new, and I mean, they're awesome.
Axe would have been like 40. 43 at that show.
Yeah, well, Andre, because Andre's definitely younger then, because he died 93 and he was 45, I think. So,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it really is, right?
When you look at that, man,
it's amazing. Yeah. Perfect looks great.
No, Andre was a year older.
Oh, okay.
He was born May 19th, 46, and Axe was born December 27th, 47. So almost a year and a half older, actually.
Oh, well, okay. Right, then it makes a little more sense, then, I suppose. Warrior has, I mean, he definitely is, he's definitely Liberty Bell. He's got like this, like, aluminum foil or tin foil-ish boot pant thing with the red, white, and blue. I mean, he looked great. But Warrior always looks good in that aspect. Interesting that they open with, we'll talk more about this when we get to later in the show, but, I mean, obviously you had to have either Hogan or Warrior first so they could sit for a while till the last match. Curious that they put the world champion on first and not Hogan. Although maybe not. Now that we've been talking over the past several months, maybe it's not a surprise. But.
Well, that, and I think the Hogan feud is kind of bigger. And, I mean, maybe they thought Warrior would energize the crowd, having him come out.
To open. That's possible. Yeah. But anyway, Johnny, overall, solid 2.5, pretty good opener to get things going.
Yeah, I'm right with you guys, 2.5. And also to reiterate on a couple of points already made, not to pile on, but Demolition is beyond cooked. I mean, Crush was the definition of subtraction by addition. His His joining that group just sunk whatever was left, and whatever is going on with Axe, Axe is shot. So, but so that doesn't really exactly put shine on the Warriors, because they don't really have a strong foil to show their skills. So it kind of brings them down a little, and also the other point you made about when have you seen Hogan in the opening match? So, to the people that criticize that they kind of sunk Warriors' championship run there, to put him in the opening match, I think is a little downgrade. I get what you guys saying about you want to juice the crowd, but there's other ways to do it, and that's number one, to put him in the opening match, and number two, he doesn't really have a foil. He doesn't have a main feud, as you guys have discussed in the past main events and house shows. That they just have him rolling 6-man, so they kind of sandbagged his title reign from the jump.
And the thing, I mean, even here, like Perfect is feuding with Tornado. So, I mean, he really isn't even like, he's the captain, but he's not even feuding with the other captain. It's so odd the way he's in.
Yeah, and we'll discuss him more later, because he, winning, he has another match. But that's a recurrent theme that if you're like a casual fan, who is your world champion? Who's his main foil? Who's his main feud? It's still a mystery, and even by the end of the show, we see something that clears it up a little, but it's still not as obvious. When Hogan was a champion, it was always obvious who his main foe is.
So Bill Eadie from here. So actually, through all this, the whole idea to phase him out occurred. He had obviously the reaction to Shellfish in Japan after WrestleMania 6, but even before that, they had plans to go to a trio and bring Crush in so they could move Axe to backstage, like as an agent. And but then he's feeling better, but by that point, Crush had already pretty much been established, and the position fell through. So he left, and that's when he would actually go to Japan, and in 1991, basically form a new version of Demolition, working with a Canadian wrestler dubbed the Canadian Giant or Demolition Hux. So they toured New Japan, had a run there. They went to the Super World of Sports, competed on the Indies as well, back as the masked superstar. And he actually worked with the Indies all through the 2000s as well. Came back in 99 to 2017. He's worked different stuff. And, of course, he's always at the various conventions and whatnot, the WrestleCon and all those things. So we should also mention, too, Andre the Giant was actually the godfather to Edie's daughters. That's how close of friends they were. So little backstory on Edie before he heads out, and that'll be it for him. Backstage, Sean Mooney's with the $1 Million Team. Jimmy Hart's all hyped up, says they will survive. Mooney asks about the mystery partner. Ted says he's here. Everyone's going to find out in just a few minutes. It's another grand, big surprise. Ted says Coco is just another bird to be plucked and stuffed on Thanksgiving. And the Harts are headed to Heartbreak Hotel, while Dusty will be on his hands and knees begging for mercy. The strong will survive. Brings us to our next match. That is the $1 Million Team of Ted DiBiase, his mystery partner, and Rhythm and Blues, taking on Dusty Rhodes, Coco Beware, and the Hart Foundation. Big pop for Dusty as he rumbles to the ring. He's got his red and black on. Coco and the Harts come up behind him. Piper takes a minute to mention the passing of Dean Hart, one of Stu's sons, and says that Brett is dedicating the match to his now late brother, who had just passed away. Like literally, I think it might be the night before.
I think it was the night before. Yeah.
So Brett's out here very emotional. Rhythm and Blues dance out. Fun team in theory, and then they get to the ring and it falls apart. But the presence is okay. DiBiase and Virgil are next, and that ramps up all the anticipation for who the mystery partner will be. And it was right here is where the theory of the Eggman dies a quick death, as Ted DiBiase grabs the mic and introduces the Undertaker, managed by Brother Love. Undertaker, of course, portrayed by Mark Calloway. Born in Houston, Texas, of course, worked around some of the Southern Indies, worked in Continental before making his way to and worked in Texas, of course, too, before making his way to WCW as Mean Mark Callis. One half of the Skyscrapers to replace Sid Vicious, made his debut in January 1990. They gained some notoriety at Clash 10 where they beat down the Road Warriors. However, Dan Spivey left days before they were supposed to fight at Wrestle War against the Road Warriors, so Callis and a masked Skyscraper defeated in that fight and broke up. Took on the Guidance of Paulie Dangerously and wrestled as a solo act through July 90, where he wrestled Lex Luger at the Great American Bash for the U.S. title. I briefly wrestled in New Japan as well as Dice Morgan. Leaving WCW, briefly returned to USWA, and then, of course, signed on in the WWF in October of 1990. And after this, he would take on a different name on TV as Kane the Undertaker, and that would be very brief. I think there's only like one match on there on the Cindies where he wrestled under that name. But the Undertaker's intro and debut here is still pretty iconic. It still holds up as impressive. Johnny, what did you think of him coming out here? Like, did it still make a dent for you when he comes out?
Yes, it was phenomenal. The close-ups on his friggin' ghoulish face was just and this is a rare moment where Roddy was great. He really sold it. He's like, oh, he doesn't look friendly at all. Look at those eyes. He needs some night time there. You know, he was Roddy was good for a change. But this is as great as I remember it. Just a close-up to that friggin' ghoulish face. It looked like something out of a friggin' Hitchcock or something.
Scott, what'd you think rewatching it? Live up?
It's epic. And I'll always remember my brother coming home that night, and he said, you're not going to believe when you see this fucking guy. I mean, he said that hush. It was definitely not one of those no-sell, who the fuck's this loser? It's more like you couldn't even boo him. You're like, what the fuck is this? I mean, this wasn't like some, when you first look at it, you're not talking some cheesy, old NWA, WCW Shockmaster shit gimmick. You're looking at this guy, you're going, this is no fucking joke.
But it's borderline. It's like it could have been goofy, but for once they make the right decision. They play it the right way because on paper it's a stupid gimmick, right? I mean, he's got a guy, Brother Love, who makes no sense, and his next manager makes even less sense name-wise. And then he's basically a mortician. I mean, he comes out. And he's not portrayed as the Grim Reaper. He's portrayed as like the Undertaker. They had the potential to be goofy, but they for once figured it out and don't do it in a goofy way, right? It could have been the Red Rooster 2.0, but they do it the right way, and he comes out and he's super impressive.
Yep, and he's athletic, and he's it's. No, it was something. You were looking at something special here. It still to this day is. And I mean, we always talk about the future, looking ahead 30 years and about live entrances at events, and still nothing is like when he comes out, and it goes all the way back to that first night. He just commands attention. And and it was not, it ended up not being Red Rooster 2.0. It ended up being Mr. Perfect 2.0, going the right way with it. Amazing. I agree with Johnny. The makeup's fucking amazing. These fucking purple around his eyes, all like, insomniac and everything. So, like, it wasn't like the zombie the first night of ECW on WWE. We're not talking. No. He was making noises.
The zombie was the Rotella to Undertaker's Armento. All right, so Gorilla and Piper put him over right away. The crowd is stunned silence. The funeral dirge playing. They're just like staring at it. It's a cool moment. It's one of obviously the biggest debuts of all time. The Dream Team tries to sort shit out as they're looking at this guy, and we start right up. Taker and Brett open us up. It's good buzz in the crowd. Taker chokes Brett to the mat, keeps his hand there. Brett tags the anvil. He tries to use his power. Taker just scoops him up and slams him. In comes Coco. He's got no shot. Charges hard. Taker sidesteps him, throws him across the top rope. It was a really cool looking move. Coco sells it like death. Taker then picks him up, buries him with a nasty tombstone pile driver to make an immediate mark. And it was great booking to have him wipe out Coco. Like, who cares? Coco can take the loss. And you have him just destroy him right out of the gate immediately to take him out. So I thought that was really shrewd booking. And, of course, you get the Gorilla knowing what a tombstone is right away. I think it's a tombstone. Like, all right, say you know.
Yeah, like... What did he interviewed him? Sneak. I got the scoop. I'm the only one that talked to him before the match.
But it was called a tombstone anyway, right? Before that, they didn't start calling it tombstone pile driver because of him, right?
Nah, I think it was. I think that was the first time.
Really?
So.
They never called it that?
Yeah.
Even when Morocco and guys used it?
Nah. I don't think so. So yeah, that's why it was kind of strange. So it was like, oh, what Gorilla did you actually spoke to the guy?
Oh, all right. I thought for some reason it was always named that, but maybe not. And if so, it's even more ridiculous. I think it's a tombstone.
Yeah.
So Brett comes in, he slugs away. Taker just turns around and tags Hammer. Dusty comes in and takes control. The Dream Team quick tag and batter Hammer's arm and his head. Hammer cuts down Brett and tags Honky, who stomps away. Honky has some sweet red tights on tonight. I did like those. Hockey's all over Brett here, slugging the midsection, throws him around the ring. He blind tags Anvil, catches a charging Hockey, hits a power slam for the elimination. Ted comes right in, unloads on Anvil. Anvil comes back with a clothesline and a slam. He tags Dusty, comes in hot, gets his shots in on Ted. Anvil tags back in and does some more damage. He gets tied up with Virgil. Eats a hard clothesline from Ted, gets eliminated. Brett comes in and slugs away. He and Dusty work over DiBiase. DiBiase cuts Dusty down and tags Taker, who knocks Dusty into his corner. Brett tags in and Undertaker chokes away, tags the Hammer, lands some punches. Ted comes in again and beats up Brett. Dusty comes back, elbows at DiBiase. He drives him to the corner, tags Undertaker. Taker punches and kicks at Dusty, goes to the top rope, and hits a nice double axe handle to eliminate Dusty. So it's an impressive spot, and he gets another big win. Puts him over as agile, it's destructive, and he takes out the team captain and a major name, Dusty Rhodes. Pretty crazy to think, Undertaker fought Dusty Rhodes here and defeated him. So that's a big win early on his resume. Throws Dusty outside as Brett comes in and punches away. Hammer tags in and battles Brett, but Dusty grabs Brother Love and starts pushing him down the aisle. Undertaker comes in to make the save, and him and Dusty brawl to the back as Taker is counted out. Kind of weird, as he wasn't legal unless Hammer blind tagged him. So, why are we counting him out? I mean, it's a good way to protect Taker, but I'll never get why he didn't just survive here. What do you guys think of this little stretch and why they took Taker out?
No, I don't mind because they put him over and because he beat the crap out of Dusty. So, because then again they would have to put him in that last match. I don't think they were.
That's true. Yeah, they kind of hamstrung by that thing.
They just wanted to tease him a little. They didn't want to, to throw him out there on his debut, to throw him out there in the first two matches, and especially he would have had to probably eat it because we'll see who eventually the Ultimate Survivors. I don't think they were going to put him over that strong on the first night. So this is strong enough, and he goes out like a boss, beating the crap out of Dusty. So it was all good.
Yeah, I guess just the count out part was a little wonky. They should have had to be the legal man because he really isn't, and then he gets counted out. So that was the only thing that was a little wonky about it.
Yeah. No, otherwise it worked. Otherwise, cinematically, it looked perfect. Yeah. Worked out good. Dusty took a shit kicking too. I mean, Taker was not holding back. He was pummeling him.
All right, Brett blocks a figure four, gets a small package on Hammer to eliminate him. Suddenly, it's a one-on-one out of nowhere. Brett sends Ted over the top with an atomic drop, follows with a plancha, and then hammers away. Brett posts Ted and spikes him to the steps. Back inside, Brett hammers away some more, but DiBiase fends him off and gets a near fall. Buries some hard chops and whips Brett to the corner, but drops his head forever. Brett just walks over and gets a backslide for two. DiBiase drops down on a whip, and Brett trips over Ted and collapses, but it's a great possum play as he pops up and gets a roll-up for two. Virgil hops up and grabs Brett, but he ducks and Ted knees his bodyguard by accident. Brett gets two on a roll-up as the crowd is super heated. Brett runs through his offense and then tries a cross-body block, but DiBiase rolls through, hooks the tights, and cradles him for the win. Super hot finishing sequence. Brett really gave it his all. Top-notch showing, especially rootable given everything going on with his brother passing away. And it really felt like an emotional finish for him and that they were certainly highlighting him. Ted ekes out the win to set him up for the next night. And a fun match. A lot going on. Massive debut. Could they have Taker survive? We talked about why they didn't. Otherwise, it was, a fun finish in a very memorable match, Johnny. I went 3 stars.
Yeah, 2.5 for me again. What brought it down was a little, you get a little too much honky, a little too much Anvil that kind of sucks it down. But between the Taker debut was great, and for about 30 seconds, Hammer and Dusty going at it. That was just, I wanted more than 30 seconds. It was just a flurry of chops and blows. I definitely wanted some more of that, some old school NWA. And Gorilla loves when Hammer's in there because he's the only one. He loves calling him a boxcar,
Yes.
the Boxcar Willie. He friggin' loves that. He says it about 10 times. He's like, "Oh, boxcar."
I think it's a tombstone.
Yeah, and even Roddy. He's
like, "What?"
yeah. Even Roddy wasn't too annoying when Taker goes out. He's like, "Oh, he's big, but he's dumb." And another thing to the point of getting Taker, they want to put over Ted because I think they had advertised it already, or they will later. They're advertising it for tomorrow night. They're having the main event with Ted with DiBiase versus Warrior. So.
No,
That
he
was
had
another
to
reason,
survive.
booking wise. Yeah.
For sure. I was just thinking Taker and Ted could have survived. It would have made Brett look more valiant too.
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, like you said, Taker, they would have had to do something screwy. Like DiBiase said, I didn't pay for him to wrestle 2 matches, and they sit him out. I don't know. They could have, but then it gets more convoluted. So I think this is fine the way they did it.
Yeah, I'm fine with how they did it. Scott.
Yeah, I gave this 3 stars too. Your overall match time 13:54. I mean, it's safe to say this is one of the most memorable Survivor Series matches of all time. Not just for Taker, but like you said, Boxcar and Dusty throwing 84 Mid-Atlantic bombs. You definitely noticed that having Brett at the end with Ted was no accident. Yeah, everything just worked perfectly for this match. You had the right kind of guys for what you were trying to accomplish. And I mean, again, it's Taker just looks so menacing and definitely not a gag, a gag whatsoever. Like any other debut is usually not this big a fucking deal.
No.
And you're not talking about some.
Well, and how many guys did they debut on pay-per-view at this point? Not that many. Like usually we get vignettes, we go to TV. Like this is a very rare big debut on pay-per-view for the WWF in this stretch.
Yep.
Not too many guys get this.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I mean, obviously, Vince looked at him and went, "Fuck, this guy's money right here," because he was not used that way in NWA/WCW. So, it's amazing that the chips he threw in the table for this guy, and obviously he cashed it in. I mean, but the beating he gives Dusty, Mark's not holding back. He was kicking him, and it was rough. And but yeah, I enjoyed the Dusty and Valentine back. It's just everything worked for these guys. Everything looked good in this match. Everything looked stiff. Everything looked, snug. And I would definitely wanted more than whatever it was, 3 minutes or 2 minutes or. Well, let me look again. Let's see. Brett eliminated Valentine. Now is just about 4 minutes of Brett and Ted, and it was pretty good. Again, having Brett at the end was obviously no accident. He was planned to show him some more solo chops. I know we always talk about that dating as far back as '87, but now it really definitely feels like they are trying to
every year. It's every year we talk. Yes, every year. 88, 89, now 90. And they've teased it, and now it finally feels around the price. I mean, and it seems like they wanted to start it sooner if they were going to fire Anvil here.
Right.
They end up waiting another 6 or 7 months, but it seems like maybe they were already starting to decide that maybe they were going to kick it off here. And it's curious to think, like, what would he have done during the stretch? Like, what match would he have had at Mania if they're not there? So there's some interesting what ifs.
Yeah.
And I wonder, too, like, how the Rockers would have transitioned. Would they have lost to the Nasty Boys? Or would they have lost to Power and Glory? Like, where's all that play in? So there's kind of a lot of what ifs around if Brett goes solo in November, if Anvil leaves.
Yeah, I mean, as we could see, the tag division was already pretty thin. So, I mean, they would have had to do something with LOD and maybe start creating some new teams. And
right.
I don't know, according to Herb, Midnight Express keeps leaving and coming back and leaving and coming back. So, I don't know, maybe Vince would have snagged him or something if they needed, guys to fill the tag roster. So, that would have been very interesting if Anvil left and that's a huge hole in the tag division that you got to fill.
Well, I guess the Rockers just make that run. They probably just take the titles to the Nasty Boys, I'm guessing.
Well, according to Herb, if Anvil left and came back the next day with Bobby as their manager.
That's right.
That was Herb's big thing.
Herb's still waiting for it. He's still waiting for the Bobby Heenan Hart Foundation.
Yeah, now he is.
All right.
Good match. Great match.
Gorilla plugs the main event, which is tomorrow night on NBC, which is a big back-to-back night of action. And it was a big 3 nights for me, actually. I went to the house show at the Civic Center Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, the night before Thanksgiving. I saw live action. It was only my second or third live show. So I did not see Survivor Series, actually, but it existed. And then I watched the main event the Friday night.
Wow.
We always did Thanksgiving in my house, so the odds of ordering the pay-per-view were very, very slim until it went to Thanksgiving Eve, so... All right, Gene is in the shower with the Vipers and Damien. He's cooling off in the water. Jake says they're all survivors. Shawn Michaels says Power and Glory snapping his knee, and Snuka has the scars of time written on his face.
Great.
Jake has stood the test too. Says Damien may just fall on him. And they all get fired up, and Jake's creepy eye staring at everybody. Brings us to our next match, and it's a hot one. It's the Vipers, Jake Roberts, Jimmy Snuka, and the Rockers taking on the Visionaries, Rick Martel, the Warlord, and Power and Glory. Martel's crew saunters out to his theme. It's a very formidable group. I was kind of sad, though, we didn't get Jive So Bro for one old turn for Martel dancing around to it. Given Slick is out there. Gorilla reminds us that Jake is going against doctor's orders in this match. And I like that Slick and Martel have maintained this loose friendship. Like, even though he doesn't manage them anymore, they're still kind of tied in here. Warlord is fucking massive. Good entrance with the Vipers. Crowd welcomes them warmly. Marty and the Warlord open up as Piper calls Warlord a walrus and does the coo-coo-coo. Marty sticks in moves as Warlord just chucks him violently into the corner. Marty uses his speed for a flurry. Warlord swats off a dropkick and stomps away at him. Marty smacks around all the Visionaries, tags Sean, and they double team into a near fall. Warlord throws Sean to the corner and tags Martel. Sean comes right back. He knifes through Martel, tags Jake, but Martel bails right away. Doesn't want no part of the snake. Paul Roma comes in. Jake works him over as Piper talks about how Jake is working with limited vision. Snuka tags in. Roma hustles to tag in Herc, who uses his power, but Snuka cuts him with a chop. Warlord comes in. We get a big power showdown that ends in the Warlord slam. Snuka stays alive. He tags Marty, but Warlord clubs him with heavy strikes, goes to a bear hug. Marty gets free and sticks and moves until Warlord hits a big power slam for the first elimination. So he even goes out before Snuka, which is depressing for poor Marty. But I guess we got to keep that big Warlord Snuka feud that we saw at the showdown hot and heavy. One of the worst matches we've talked about. Sean comes in, gets an assist from Jake for a head scissors takeover. Jake tags in, peppers away as the crowd heats up. Roma tags in as Sean does, and he mows his nemesis down. Warlord comes in and sends Sean flying with an insane backdrop. We get quick tags and pummeling of Sean from there, but he keeps surviving. Martel works the back and misses a charge and crashes into the post. In comes the Superfly, chops away, works over the model, picking up a near fall or two. Long stretch here. We don't get many eliminations, and that finally comes to an end as Martel rolls through a crossbody and hooks the tights to send Snuka packing. And I should mention the Snuka Warlord feud is the one that Herb mentioned on the showdown notes, is what I meant to say there, but it is a feud that's going to captivate audiences across the country, I'm sure. Jake comes in. Martel books it again. Herc gets a tag. We get the brief SummerSlam 88 rematch here when Jake and Hercules throw bombs for a minute until Martel mows him down off the apron. Jake gets worked over by Roma. He fights through and attacks Sean, who rallies and gets a near fall. Hercules comes in and crushes Sean with a hard elbow to the head. Sean gets worked over a bit. Power and Glory buries Sean with the Powerplex, and he is eliminated, putting over the team and move as lethal. That's a big spot for them to eliminate Sean. Also a good showing for Sean. He hangs around and encourages Jake on his way out. And he's kind of been set up now as a good Survivor Series guy. Like, if you remember last year, it was him and Warrior were the last two in that match. And now he's the last one here with Jake as well before the numbers get to him. So he leaves in good booking. It's the blind Jake the Snake is against all four men against the odds. The fans rallying him. Warlord takes the first crack. He goes after the back. He hoists Jake into a bear hug. Jake slugs free. The ref gets tied up with the rest of the team after Jake goes at them. Jake snaps off the DDT on the Warlord, but the ref is tied up and he can't count. So Martel comes in. He sprays the arrogance of Jake, who freaks out about his eyes. He grabs Damien and chases Martel to the back. Jake is counted out. Martel is not, because he is not the legal man, but of course that goes against what we saw last match. And the Visionaries are the first ever team to survive as a whole. Fun match with a lot of power offense and good teamwork. Everyone got some shine. Right down to Jake hitting the DDT on Warlord. The Visionaries all looked great, and for the first time ever, they survive. Jake and Martel barely touch each other, too, so that simmers some more to build up to their eventual blow-off. Scotty went 3 stars. That was a really fun match.
It absolutely was. I also gave it 3 stars. On a side note, JR, this is what you watched that evening, November 21st, 1990, at the Providence Civic Center. Haku pinned Coco. Ted DiBiase pinned Dusty. Bossman pinned the Barbarian, who was supposed to wrestle, who subbed for Bobby. Slaughter and Adnan defeated Nikolai and Duggan. You lucky son of a bitch. Savage defeated Warrior by countout. Interesting. Sean and Marty defeated Power and Glory by DQ. Davey Boy pinned Boris Zhukov. And in the main event, the Hart Foundation defeated Honky and Boxcar.
Rhythm and Blues. Big tag title feud.
Yeah, you're a mush. You saw Dusty and Coco bite it.
That's it. I remember that. I do remember that show very well. I can't even remember where I was sitting at the arena for that one. So it was an interesting event for sure.
Absolutely. Anyway, good match. Hogan looking, everybody looking great as always. The Visionaries look good. Wow, what a team, huh? Look amazing here. And let me check your match time here. Sorry, my screen blinked here. 18:03, so longest match so far. Sean does look strong. 2 straight shows. He's the second to last guy. 2 straight pay-per-views, Survivor Series. Maybe they had things planned up for Martel. This is a big deal for him to captain the only team to be full. And it was a good team of guys to put on the heel side in the final. I mean, you got these guys and DiBiase. I mean, what a fivesome. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Perfect types of heels. They work well together. They kind of look the same. Just amazing. An amazing group of talent there. I do love Jake selling. Jake, and we'll say this fondly in a couple years when he's gone, but Jake just knew how to, kind of like Savage, regardless of what side he's on. Jake just knew how to get the emotion out of you. And you're rooting for him so hard, and he can't really see, and he's fumbling around, and he's got the glass eye or whatever. And he's just so damn good at that, at pulling the pathos out of the audience. Savage is the same way. So kudos to Jake for grabbing the emotion to the point where you were just disgusted to see the Visionaries and then finish complete. But at the same time, what a team. Your boys, JR, your number one team at the moment, Power and Glory, the Warlord, and of course, Captain Rick. Captain Ricky. What a team. I was not upset with this. I think that was good for this heel team. Jake's another guy that could, eat anything. And obviously the Jake Martel feud's got a ton of legs left. So more from those two to come. So I had no problems, but a great match, a lot of fun, good storytelling. Jake also, always looks good, sympathetic. And that team of Martel, Warlord, and Power and Glory might be one of the best heel Survivor Series teams of all time. Ton of talent there. Very impressive.
I wasn't as high as you guys. Just 2 stars for the one-sided booking, but a few tidbits. That Warlord and Snooker, they had a hot 30 seconds for Herb to kind of preview their hot feud and to see what we missed out on. They had about a hot 30 seconds there. And another thing, Gorilla showing his hate for the Rockets, especially Jannetty. Gorilla friggin' busted a nut and popped. When Jannetty got pinned, he goes, "Jannetty's out of here!" And he was like thrilled about it. I'm telling you, he hated the Rockets or something. Going back to the WrestleMania 6 when he said they looked lethargic or something, he definitely held a grudge about it because he was excited when Jannetty lost a little too much. And again, Roddy had a decent point on commentary where he was pointing out how Jake can only see on the one side and how it was hindering his movements there. And to reiterate your point, Scott, that Jake definitely milked it well, his lack of vision on the one side. And perfect timing again by Power and Glory on the Powerplex. Always love seeing that.
Definitely, I agree.
Hey, PTB Nation, it is now time for the Rob Houston Memorial Hacksaw Jim Duggan Update.
Go, Scotty! It's your birthday! Gonna party like it's your birthday! Gonna sip Jack Daniels like it's your birthday! You don't know, we don't give a fuck, it's not your birthday! Jim Duggan, who cares? Scotty, how you doing? Happy birthday!
VKM, what an honor and a privilege to see you. How you doing?
It is a privilege and an honor. I'm good. Are you staying safe and healthy?
as best as I can.
I don't want to have to give you the corona like I did to the blue. I mean, whatever. Anyway, I hope you're having a great birthday. I hope you had a good day. I saw you got a haircut. You look like shit even more than you normally do, so that's good. Everything's back to normal. Armento is going to go get a haircut, but honestly, nothing grows, so we're fine. Nothing needed there. Same with Rotella.
Nope.
My private barber has nothing to do. Claire doesn't ever cut his hair. It's so glorious. So really, it's just my hair that needs a trim, and then we're good at the Pussy Posse.
That's right. That's right. So how things been, VKM? It's been so long. How you doing?
I'm not going to lie. It's been a tough year. A lot going on. Got this stupid show on Vice fucking my shit up. You know how many bitches on Tinder won't swipe because they saw that stuff? Painting me as a bad guy? I mean, I tried to talk Tampa into not having WrestleMania. That bitch mayor, Jane Cryer, whatever her name is, tried to fuck with me, wanted to keep the show on and put my talent at risk. I said, no. I said, no way. And now Ted Turner making me put Raw on every week when I don't want to. Everyone tries to make me look like the bad guy, Chris Colo.
It's amazing, right? I mean, all the LOD, and I'm surprised you didn't steal. Herb Abrams wasn't stealing your cocaine or whatever. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, look at the show you review. Roddy Piper talk about the troops, right? I care about the good things. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Anyway, listen. I wanted to pop in tonight because I got you a gift.
Really, VKM, I'm touched. Thank you. This means a lot.
I got you a very special gift, Chris Colo.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
Claire! Hit the machine! Bottle of white! A bottle of red!
Perhaps a bottle of rosé instead.
We'll get a table near the street.
In our old familiar place.
You and I face to face.
Bottle of red, bottle of white.
It all depends upon your robust appetite.
I'll meet you anytime you want.
In Dr. G's Italian restaurant.
That was amazing.
We're not done. Shut up. This is
Oh.
where the music interlude happens. You know the song, don't you? Have you ever heard this
Yes,
one?
I do. Yes, I have.
This is where he's doing the thing with the music.
Yep.
And then it's going to pick up the pace. It's like Iron Sheik walking to the fucking ring. Linda in her wheelchair, moving all slow. Because I drugged her. Like the dumb bitch that she is. No clue I was banging Trish Stratus. She's a shoot slut, I heard. Alright, here we go. Things are okay with me these days. Got a good job, got a good office, got a new wife, got a new life, thank God, and the family's fine. We lost touch long ago. You lost weight, I did not know you could ever look so nice after so much time.
Do you remember those days hanging out at the Hoodoo Brown? Engineer boots, leather jackets, and evening gowns. Drop a dime in the box and play the song about New Orleans.
Hey, cold beer, hot nuts, my sweet romantics, got a Crisco nuts. All right, hang on, we got more music. I'll cue you in, D'Amato, hang on. Da-da-da-da. Sounds like we're at a fucking carnival, just stupid song. There's a monkey working the thing with the Italian guy, cranking it on the street. Not his penis, I mean the organ. Well, not the organ, but you know what I mean. The thing making the music, that thing. Passing the sausages and the Italian ice is out. All right, get ready, D'Amato, hang on, you're coming up. Here we go. Hang on, he's still doing the fucking piano. What the fuck with this goddamn song?
Cut me down, you old fuck.
Christ. Oh! Whoa! 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 Armando, go!
Jenny and Scotty were the popular steadies and the king and the queen of the prom. Riding around with the car top down and the radio
Nobody looked any
on.
finer! Or was more hit the Parkway Diner. We never knew we could want more than that kind of life. Oh, Brenda and Eddie would always know how to survive. Whoa.
Whoa.
Chris Golo.
Whoa.
Dr. G. Ribolino. Armento. Rotella. And Claire's here. Go, D'Amato.
Jenny and Scotty were still going steady in the summer of 75, not 69, when they decided the marriage would be at the end of July. Everyone said they were crazy. Brenda, you know you're much too lazy. Scotty could never afford.
Yeah, we were waving Brenda and Eddie goodbye. Whoa.
Whoa.
Crisco. They got an apartment with deep pile carpet and a couple of paintings from Sears. A queen-size water bed that they bought with the bread and they saved for a couple of years.
They started to fight when Greeny took all the money and they just didn't count on the tears. They lived for a while.
No. Hang on, they got the sax now. We got that. This is like me at the Slammies working the sax. Staying alive. Not staying alive. What's the name of that song? Keep me alive.
That rusty trombone, man.
What's that? That's only Thanksgiving. What's the name of that song? Oh, it is Thanksgiving. It's Survivor Series. Fuck. Jesus Christ, I can't keep up. This is why no one likes Billy Joel. All this fucking garbage. Machado was right. Oh. Lived a nice while. It's your turn.
They lived for a while.
You're late. They got a divorce as a matter of course.
Got a divorce as a matter of course.
And the king and the queen went back to the green, but you can never go back there again. Brenda and Scott and Jenny, what are we doing? Already by the summer of 75. From the heart of the low to the end of the show for the rest of their lives. They couldn't go back to the greasers. The best they could do was pick up the pieces. We always knew they'd find a way to get by.
Yeah, that's all I heard about Jenny and Scotty. Can't tell you more than I told you already. And here we are waving those motherfuckers goodbye. Whoa.
Okay, break it down. Here we go. We're going into the quiet part. This stupid shit. This song is ridiculous. This guy thinks he's like Queen with the multiple different things. Da 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 da. Oh God, this song is relentless. I'm fucking dying. No wonder Aretha Franklin passed on this one. A bottle of red, a bottle of white. Whatever the fuck you're in the mood for tonight. Criscolo, I'll meet you anytime you want. At your Italian restaurant. Happy birthday, you piece of shit. I hope you rot in hell. Fuck you, Billy Joel. I'm out of here. Claire, get the limo. All right, so Gorilla plugs the Rumble on January 19th. Him and Piper chat for a few. Then Sean Mooney backstage with the Hulkamaniacs. Hulk Hogan in his short bob haircut. It's full effect here. Says he's been surviving for quite some time, even in this topsy-turvy WWF. The 4 Demandments will help them survive and assemble a team. And Bad Dudes name checks them all. Boss Man will be a survivor tonight. We'll see if Bobby survives. Tugboat's loaded, ready for battle. Duggan's worked up. The hair on his neck is standing up. The blood's pumping through his heart. I think we all know where that eventually heads. Hogan says they're focused on winning this match, and they dedicate their bout to the U.S. Armed Forces. Hulk volunteers all their services to George Bush to help with Saddam Hussein. I'm sure Big Boss Man appreciated that, by the way, getting drafted by Hulk Hogan to go to the Desert Storm, but very kind of him. Hogan's haircut. So his hair's long at Suburban Commando. Was that a wig, or do you think he got long and then he cut it after the movie you filmed?
I don't know. I mean, the Suburban Commando, they look like extensions. Suburban Commando hair. I wonder if this is his real hair and the movie was extensions. That's what I always thought.
Yeah, I vote for that.
Yeah, I think they're extensions. Did you really think his hair was real? I never thought so.
No, probably not. He probably cut it short so he could do like the extension on there. But anyway, it looks like a bob. It's ridiculous. So our next match,
looks like Sean's hair in Survivor Series 02. It's pretty bad.
So our next match is the Hulkamaniacs against the National Disasters. Hulk Hogan, Tugboat, Big Boss Man, and Jim Duggan taking on Earthquake, Dino Bravo, Haku, and the Barbarian. And a good entrance for Quake's crew. Haku's fine, but man, this team looks so much more formidable when it was Rick Rude as originally scheduled. Hogan's team gets all separate entrances. They're fired up. And I'll tell you, for a time period with a soft roster, they did a good job to stock these teams. Like, we got Coco before and Axe. But beyond that, it's like they emptied the chambers. There's not too many guys missing. We did talk about on the last show, Scott, maybe they could have used Dustin in the previous match, but we talked about why. We needed Coco there to job for Taker. So beyond that, though, they pretty much get everyone in here. Duggan has yellow ribbons all over the 2x4. Big pop for Big Boss Man. It's clear he's the number 2 of the faces. Crowd is fired up for Hogan, and they go nuts when he comes out. Loud USA chants as Duggan and Haku start. They trade some blows. Duggan dodges across body, lands some clotheslines, and slugs away. Haku escapes and tags Barbarian, who chops at Duggan. Haku is right back in, but Duggan tags Boss Man, who empties the tank and hits the Boss Man slam, knocking Haku out of the gate. He's gone, so quick knife for him. Barbarian comes in, eats a Big Boss Man boot. Bobby gets on the apron. Boss Man runs him into the post. Boss Man keeps on loading. Barbarian catches it with a suplex. Barbarian comes up empty on an elbow off the middle rope. Duggan tags in and takes control. Barbarian tags Bravo. They tussle, and then Quake comes in with 2 big collisions. Duggan hits the ropes, but Jimmy hooks it, and Duggan falls to the floor. He grabs his board and slides in the ring and smashes Earthquake. And, of course, he gets DQ'd, as always. Can't get pinned. Kind of silly, but I guess Duggan has been portrayed and set up as a hothead in general, so fine. Hogan comes in and nails Quake and cleans house on all 3 before raking Quake's eyes and slamming him out of the gate. No suspense this time. He's slamming him with no problem now. He unloads on the big man, but Quake swats him off, and it's a nice power slam. He tags Bravo, who drops an elbow and kicks away. The crowd tries to rally Hogan. He obliges with a quick small package and eliminates Bravo out of nowhere. Hogan then dives and tags the Boss Man, who meets Quake with a big bunch of right hands. And, of course, this was coming off their hot match of the Survivor Series Showdown. Quake misses an avalanche in the corner. Boss Man sprints up top, and we get a replay of that as Quake catches him. But this time, Hogan gives an assist, and Boss Man falls on top for 2. Barbarian kicks Boss Man from the apron. Quake drops an elbow and covers and eliminates him, which was kind of surprising that they took him out so easily. But again, he was hot while in the ring. Hogan comes back and knifes through Quake, rattling with a clothesline, and he fails on a slam, which Piper calls dumb. Hogan tries a third one. Quake falls on top again for 2. Quake misses a splash, and Hogan tags Tugboat, who enters for the first time this late in the match. He camped out in the apron until now. He gets some shoulder blocks. Hogan pulls Quake outside. Tugboat follows. All 3 of them brawl, and then both big guys get counted out. And again, surprising to see Quake go out that way, but I guess, they're still not ready to put him and Hogan to bed. As Robert mentioned last show, they fight almost to mania. Hogan is left with Barbarian, and Barbarian's all over him immediately in and out of the ring with heavy strikes. Barbarian snaps Hogan down with a decent pile driver, but Hogan's head never hits the mat, which Piper and Gorilla both cover for. Both men collide. They double clothesline, but Barbarian's up first. He heads up top, and it's a beautiful flying clothesline. But Hogan blows out of that at 2, hulks up, and we go paint by numbers into the finish. Express Line Survivor match. The crowd was very hot. We had some unique combinations and matchups. It was good to see Barbarian get the final showdown and shine with Hogan. It was better than a year ago with Hogan, at least. He gave the guy some rub, and we didn't get all the crazy disqualifications. Hogan wins, continues his momentum to the final, and perfectly fine, no better, no worse. Right down the middle, 2.5 stars, Johnny. I'm going to take a breath.
You deserve it. This is a candidate for the highlight. For the highlight of the night was Hogan's slam and Barb, Bravo, and Earthquake back to back to back. That really popped the crowd, and but once again, it shows you how they really, even though Warrior's the champion, they really make Hogan shine more in his match than Warrior did in his match in the opener. But another debate to how they pushed Warrior as champ as opposed to with Hogan still hanging around here, because Hogan's still undoubtedly the number 1 guy coming out of this match. And the highlight for me was Gorilla forgetting that Tugboat was still in the match. He's like, "Oh, Hogan's in there alone," and he's like, "Oh no, there's still Tugboat," because he wasn't even in and he didn't even do anything. That Gorilla forgot all about him. And it's such a contrast between Tugboat and Earthquake. Tugboat's offense is just so lethargic, and Earthquake, on the other hand, uses his size and he uses all his his fat and his girth to his advantage. And Tugboat is just like he's got the the bulk and the size, but he's just like another guy in there. His moves aren't anything special. He doesn't use his size to his advantage to make him look special. And Earthquake's the complete opposite. Everything he does, he looks monstrous. But a good finish, Scott.
Yeah, no, it was. Your match time overall with the eliminations 13:30. Obviously, we all knew who the survivor is going to be. It was just a question of how we got there. Tugboat definitely. I mean, his face run is already pretty much dead in the water. It feels like. Duggan gets disqualified. What a shock! Because God forbid he, fucking eats a pin or something because it's Duggan for some fucking reason. But the back and forth was good. Everybody in this match, high level, even Dino to a certain extent. When you get pinned by Hogan, there's a badge of honor there. But the heels look better than they did a year before, although I'm sure seeing DiBiase in the grand finale is daunting since DiBiase had to get fucked with the year before. But I think it was just more a way to get Hogan to be the survivor. Earthquake's still pretty hot as a heel, but Tugboat is definitely, that face run is already in the shitter. A solid match for 13 and a half minutes. Hogan's pumped for his, he'll be on the side with the world champion. And overall, decent match. I think the quality's starting to slide a bit from earlier in the show. But Hogan gets the survivor pin. And with that, so IPIC can take a breath for the next.
Wait, to your guys' point, why would they just have Bossman take the DQ for using the nightstick and have Duggan get the pin by?
I would have been fine with that. I'd have been perfectly fine.
Duggan's never getting pinned.
That's my point. I think they know that. That's my point. I don't understand. What the fuck can Duggan need a pin for? Jesus Christ. I mean, it's fucking Duggan, for God's sakes. That's what I'm talking about. Why did this guy get protected?
Yeah, it's egregious here, especially because Bossman's a harder face, and he took a pin.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, why don't we take a break, because a few of us need it. Sure. When we return, a couple matches left. We get a big interview and the egg, which we know now is not Undertaker, so who is it? But first, a moment. Because can't take my eyes off you.
Hey, this is the King of the Mountain, Jeff Jarrett, the founder and president of Global Force Wrestling, and you're listening to the Place to Be Podcast.
Here I am at 6 o'clock in the morning, still thinking about you. It's still hard at 6 o'clock in the morning to sleep without.
All right, quick break there, like we always promise. And, it's your birthday, Scott, and we can sing for you, we can talk about it, but honestly, it's really the feeling behind it. It's more than words can say for you at this point, the way we feel about celebrating you every year on June 1st. So that's that, and that is the number one song in the nation, playing underneath us tonight by the band Alias. I'm sorry, number 2 song, I believe, right?
2 song, yep.
By the name Alias. So we'll get to the Pop Culture Corner in just a minute, but why don't we quickly tell you what is going on in the world of Place to Be Nation and its feeds. The Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network, that's what you're listening to right now. Row 1, Seat 1. Row 1, Seat 1. Ben Zani talks to Alan Angels about independent wrestling, his recent appearance on AEW, and his now famous match with Kenny Omega. On the newest, you know what? I'll let you talk about this one, Scott. It's a big one. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, JR. The newest NWA Saturday special, the doctor and I got the big interview. He found us on Twitter. NWA Vice President Dave Lagana joined us this past week for a great, he said I could talk for about half an hour. We went on over an hour. We talked about things going on in the National Wrestling Alliance right now, little WWF, little Impact, and some other stuff too. So it was a great sit down. Please check it out. It was a lot of fun.
The Dusty stories were amazing.
Yeah, the Dusty stories are awesome. Yes, absolutely. So check them out. Check it out. It's very
there you go. That was a bucket list interview you got, Scott, for us. So
yes,
Dave Lagana on the Saturday special on this very feed. Newest episode of Jenny and the Gems. The crew did its first match pick show. Each member picked a hidden gem. It's a mishmash of fun, bizarre, and I'm sure lots of Sousa jokes.
Yes.
Drew Warlaw hosts a special GWCW Pod Blast, waxing nostalgic over some great tag team matches. Drew also had the newest You Don't Know Billy Jack, where him and Jordan discuss a great CMLL match from March of 2000. Also, check out the PlayStation Pop feeds, some great shows, including the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour, Spectacular, Diamond Conversations was a thing on TV, the year in Pop, Laugh in Theater, Great Debate, A Piece of the Action, and so much more. Also, be sure to subscribe to the Jenny Position on any podcatcher app you have. It's the home of Geek and Sassy, Talkin' Pop, Freak Out Drive-In, the Brother Sister Rewatch Podcast, The Journey Through Infinity, which just had a new episode drop today. That was Thor: The Dark World, Dark Planet. Which one is it? Dark World.
Dark World. Dark Show.
Get your shit all over that and much more. So subscribe to that feed for those exclusive shows and subscribe to the North-South Connection Podcast Network. That's myself, Chad Campbell, and Aaron George leading the way, the official home of Wrestling Warzone. And there's a big show dropping this week, WrestleMania 12, our review. I think Chad and I'll say it's the best show him and I have done. We really went deep into WrestleMania 12, broke it down, had a good discussion about every aspect of it. So if you haven't subscribed yet to the North-South Connection Podcast Network, please do and listen to that. Also, No Holds Barred, Extreme Three-Way Dance, Jeff Learns Wrestling, the Ruthlessly Aggressive Podcast, TNA Never Dies, and so much more. 5 shows a week drop, and they're all digestible, to the point, and follow common threads. Also have kicked off the 2020 Stretch Project, determining the greatest WCW match ever. You have until New Year's Eve to do your research, promote your matches, build your list. Conversation of rules only at PlaySpeed Nation, Facebook.com/GWCW matches, or Pro Wrestling Only's message board. Also, Vote Daily, the greatest junk food of all time tournament, is underway. And check out PlayStation.com each and every day. New voices, fresh takes, review articles, the topics of worlds of wrestling, sports, pop culture, including Trent's SmackDown and Fox Report, The Weekend OD with John Crow, Paulie's Perspective, Ben's Unpopular Opinion, and Glenn Butler's Walk Around the Web. And, of course, if you're doing your shopping, which I know everyone's doing, go to PlayStation.com/Amazon. It takes you right there to help you out with no additional cost. So you heard the song, It's More Than Words Can Say, number 2 in the nation. That brings us into Scott Criscolo's Pop Culture Corner.
Thank you, JR, and thank you, everyone, and listen to all those feeds because they're all awesome in their own very special way. The reason we told you the number 2 is for the second straight week, Love Takes Time by Mariah Carey was number 1. If you listened, and we assume you did, to the Survivor Series Showdown show, we did that Billboard list. It was number 1, so we figured we'd switch it up. And More Than Words Can Say by Alias at number 2. Number 3, Little Whitney Houston with I'm Your Baby Tonight. Number 4, Groove Is in the Heart by D-Light and Delicious. Stevie B, Because I Love You. That song never stopped playing the radio. The Postman Song at number 5. Something to Believe In by Poison at number 6. From a Distance by Bette Midler at number 7. Pray by MC Hammer at number 8. Feels Good by Tony at number 9. And probably a little JR special at 10 years old. A little Knockin' Boots by Candyman at number 10. By the way, at number 11 was Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla.
Not to be mixed up with Knockin' Da Boots, as we've mentioned before. It's 2 versions.
You are absolutely true. Yes. Mm-hmm. So there's your top 10. Mariah is still kicking ass and taking names. Let's take a look at the movies that were this past weekend. A few of them, JR, we mentioned previously on the last show. Let's see. Here's the box office top. I think it's top 8. Top 9 for this week. At number 9, Jacob's Ladder, horror movie with Tim Robbins. Number 8, Child's Play 2. Number 7, Ghost. Number 6, The Rescuers Down Under. Number 5, Rocky 5. Number 4, Predator 2. A lot of sequels. Number 3, Dances with Wolves. Number 2, 3 Men and a Little Lady, another sequel. And number 1 is still Home Alone. So in the top 9 movies this weekend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them were sequels. pretty crazy. So there you go. There's your big holiday weekend in 1990. It's Thanksgiving.
It is.
That means it is, right? We can't have a pop culture corner without, on Turkey Day, taking the field.
Oh, boy.
All right, Mr. Hawkins last week played dumb and then still beat me by 2. So that brings the updated score to 37 for my opponents. And let's see, 36 for me, I believe. So that's where we're at, John. Now, listen, last season, you put me in the grave when you appeared. I was in it, and then you crushed me by like 7. So we'll see if that happens again tonight.
All right. Of course, it's Thanksgiving, gentlemen. So on this day, November 22nd, there were 2 games. We all know who the home teams were. We'll begin, of course, at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, where the Lions hosted the Denver Broncos, JR.
I will go Detroit.
Okay. Mr. Carve.
Yeah. During this time, the Lions didn't suck. They usually won Thanksgiving. I'll go with the Lions.
Yep. Even with Bob Galliano as their quarterback.
Yes. Paisan.
Was it his Italian restaurant you ate at with BKM?
Yes.
Galliano's.
Barry Sanders rushed for $147. Lions win 40-27. Of course, our second game of the day, we go down to the Hole in the Roof, Texas Stadium in Irving, where the Dallas Cowboys hosted the Washington Redskins, Johnny. 2 of your favorites.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the scumbags are starting to get it together. No more 1-15, so I'm going with Dallas.
Yeah, I'll take Dallas on Thanksgiving.
Emmitt Smith rushes for $132. Cowboys win 27-17. All right, let's go to that following Sunday, the 25th. We'll begin at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. The Bengals hosting the Indianapolis Colts, JR.
I'll take Cincy.
Johnny?
Yeah, I'm going with the Boomer at home.
Eric Dickerson rushed for $143. Colts win 34-20.
Damn.
Let's go to the Vet in Philly, where the New York Football Giants took on the fucking scumbag Eagles. Johnny.
Not good, man. Philly at home.
All right. If John's going against the Giants, he knows something in this one, so I'll take Philly.
Well, I believe, Mr. D'Amato, weren't the Giants undefeated at this point? Weren't they 10-0 or 11-0 at this point in 1990? Maybe they weren't. Anyway, it didn't matter. Eagles won 31-13.
I was gonna take the Giants too until he picked them. Until he picked the Eagles, I knew something stunk.
Something stunk. Eagles win. All right, let's go to the Superdome in New Orleans. The Saints host the Atlanta Falcons. JR.
I will take Atlanta.
In the Silverdome, the Saints are usually good in the Silverdome, so I'll go with the Saints.
Well, in a typical game between Chad Campbell's Falcons and everybody else's Saints, it was a low-scoring pile of crap. The Saints win 10-7. All right, let's go to the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The Vikings hosting the Chicago Bears, Johnny.
Vikings at home.
I'll take the Bears.
Come on.
Well, Jim Harbaugh threw for 157. Not a lot of yards in this game, but the Vikings win big, 41-13. Let's go to Lambeau Field in Green Bay. The Bay of Pigs, as Johnny remembers it being called back in the day. The Packers host the Buccaneers. JR.
Green Bay.
Yeah, I think Tampa was like 0-72 when the weather was under 40 degrees until they finally beat the Eagles in the championship game. But so this wasn't one of them. I'm going Green Bay at home.
Yes. Vinny Testaverde throws for 281, but the Packers win 20-10. Let's go to the Dog Pound in Cleveland. The Browns host the Miami Dolphins. Johnny.
Go with the Marinos.
JR?
What was the game again?
The Dolphins are in Cleveland.
In Cleveland. I'll take the Browns.
Dan Marino throws for 245. Dolphins win 30-13.
I'm imploding against D'Amato again.
Let's go to Candlestick Park in San Francisco. The defending world champion 49ers hosting the Los Angeles Rams, JR.
Niners.
How can you bet against Joe Montese at home? Definitely Niners.
Well, Joe throws for 235, but it's Flipper.
What?
Gary Anderson with Willie Anderson, 149 yards receiving. Rams win 28-17.
Jesus.
Let's go to the Mausoleum out in L.A., the Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs, Johnny.
The Chiefs own the Raiders. I got to go with the Chiefs.
All right, I'm done picking against them. I'll go with the Chiefs.
Come on.
Chiefs win 27-24. Let's go to Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands. The Jets, Jets, hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. JR?
I'll go with the Jets.
Listen, the philosophy is not too hard to figure out. But back then, like, the home team was winning 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But unless there's a caveat, unless the home team sucks shit like the Jets, so I'll go with the Steelers.
Never count out the greatness that is Bubby Brister to Louis Lips.
Yes.
The Steelers win 24-7. Who's quarterback in the fucking Jets that day? Let's take a look at the box real quick. Let's see. Bruce, come on. Really, when Bruce Cos lets your head coach, anything is possible. Let's see. Bubby.
Was that a Foley era? Was that a Foley?
No, that's later.
No, Kenny. No, it's still Kenny. 9 of 17, 117 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Well, when Tony Easton's your backup, that's what happens. Anyway, let's go to, let's see, where are we now? We are out in Phoenix at Sun Devil Stadium. The Cardinals hosting the New England Patriots. Johnny.
Cardinals at home.
Yeah, all right. Whatever.
Tim Rosenbaugh, if anybody remembers him, 188 yards passing. Cardinals win 34-14. Let's go to the Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego. The Seahawks and the San Diego Chargers, JR.
I'll take my Chargers.
Yeah, San Diego Superchargers.
Dave Craig throws for 211. Seahawks in overtime.
Come on.
13-10. Yes. And finally, Monday night at the Astrodome in Houston, the Oilers and the Bills. Who is it? It's Johnny.
Houston Oilers #1.
Yeah, I'll take Moon.
Well, he throws for an even 300. Oilers win 27-24.
All right. Well, it wasn't as bad a beating as last time, but that was a 4 spot for Johnny, so I am now down 5 until Peter Winston puts the knife in on our next episode, I'm sure.
All right. No games in the NBA on this evening. 2 games in the NHL. The Flames, Mr. Nelson's Flames, win at home over the Kings 6-3. And Johnny, the fucking scumbag Islanders, win at home 3-1 over the Jets. The Blackhawks are leading the Norris with 34 points. Kings lead the Smythe with 31. Bruins lead the Adams with 28. And the New York Hockey Rangers, 15-6-4 so far this season for 34 points. They lead the Patrick by 7 over the Flyers. And that is it for your Pop Culture Corner. Back to the home of the whale, Hartford Civics.
All right. Gorilla plugs the Royal Rumble again. And then we go to Mean Gene on the podium, brings out the Macho King for a chat. Savage is carried out, has some sweet red and white striped tugboat tribute tights on, looking sharp. Savage says he's once and future WWF champion. Gene says nothing but a turkey. And Warrior will be the ultimate turkey when Savage takes his title back. Gene says Savage lets a woman do his dirty work. When Sherry went on Brother Love to insult the Warrior, Savage says Gene's wrong. Savage slapped the ultimate chicken 3 times, and he'll be the ultimate loser. Warrior was in a state of shock because he realizes Savage will take his title back, and he can't do a thing about it. Savage is the special one in the WWF, past, present, and future, the greatest ever. Gene asks where we go from here. Savage says he will prove he's the best, and then he may just retire as champion. So, good level-setting promo. It puts Savage back to the top tier, and I know he was dinged up, and they were trying to protect him, but man, I think this is a shot where we talked about like who was missing earlier that could have been on that opening match. Like, why not have it be Savage perfect smash and crush? And you could even have Savage just get himself DQ'd because he bashes Warrior with the scepter or something. That would have added so much star power and start the feud off.
If he's dinged up, yeah, just like a 2-minute thing, sure.
Right. What'd you think, Scott? Of the
I would have definitely. I would have definitely had him in some capacity here. I mean, it's fucking Savage. You don't leave him out unless he really is hurting. But I mean, from what we've disseminated, his injuries are not that bad where he couldn't kind of fuck around. I mean, he can't be any worse than Axe. So I mean, I'm sure he could fuck around for like 3 minutes and
Yeah, or have him camp out on the apron, like Warrior keeps going after him and he drops down and he's fucking with him, and then he just grabs the scepter and bashes him with it or something like that. You could have just done that, and then at least you have the star power in the match itself, and then it could be Savage and Perfect versus Tornado Warrior, the last 4, and then you're adding a little bit of more oomph to the match itself. So, I agree. All right, back to the ring. We have our final match of the night before our grand finale. That is the Alliance taking on the Mercenaries. The Alliance is Nikolai Volkov, this team of winners. Nikolai Volkov, Tito Santana, who's slumming it, and the Bushwhackers taking on Sergeant Slaughter, Boris Zukov on the Orient Express. The Alliance come out as Piper says Russia gave us Nikolai, and we gave them MTV and 2 Live Crew as a trade. That's something.
Also, he had a gem. Sorry, JT, but he had a gem before that when they showed the egg, and Roddy says, "Oh, it looks like Milli Vanilli laid it."
very, very topical.
Last time he saw an egg that size, Milli Vanilli.
When was that lip sync? Was that right around that time?
Yeah, it was around the time. Yeah.
Man, what a squad this Alliance is. Poor Tito. The Mercenaries come out, but they stop in the aisle for the legendary promo where Sarge rambles with Gene as the drums playing in the background, and they're all standing there sweating. The paint, they all have the camo paint on. It's all sweating down. And so that's going on. Gene talks up how the troops are on the world of watching. Sarge shits all over them. And the flag to keep his gimmick charged up. He said the only flag he salutes is the Iraqi flag, which Adnan is toting. And again, this team's not much better besides the camo paint, which does look kind of cool. He goes on, talks about how the troops are eating shitty Thanksgiving dinners overseas, gives advice to George Bush, says don't send the troops in. Very long bit, and they finally get to the ring. And I guess that was the character development part of this, because the match isn't going to do much for Sarge. So they give us that, at least. Piper's shitting all over him as they come down. And in a statement I wish I never had to say, the match starts with Bushwhacker Butch and Boris Zukov. Again, goes rolling. Luke pokes his eyes from the apron. He comes in. They hit a double clothesline. Tito comes in, hits a flying forearm, and Zukov is gone. And I'm glad. I am happy that Akeem left and didn't have to deal with this nonsense match that's about to happen. If he would have lost in 30 seconds to this, I would have fluffed my mind. And the crowd doesn't give a shit either. They're really flat for this. Sato comes in. He kicks away. Tanaka comes in, kicks Sato by accident. Butch gets a tag, and they run through both Orient Express, hit the battering ram. Sato's gone. Sarge is all perplexed on the apron, like, what the fuck? Tanaka tries to turn things around. Tito hits another forearm. Tanaka's gone. Putting over the forearm strong tonight. Sarge is now alone, like within minutes, against the Alliance. He comes in. Nikolai comes in. They're slugging away. We reset with Sarge and Tito. Nikolai tags back in again. He lands a kick and some strikes. Gorilla calls Adnan a goof and a turban. Nikolai's all smiles as he works through his offense, but Slaughter hits him with a clothesline, a few elbow drops, and the crowd wakes up with some USA chants. But Sarge is in control and meanders through some strikes. He even breaks out a drop kick. Piper says Sarge is working at a slow pace because he's going to work through 4 guys, which I thought was a good point. Sarge drops another elbow and pins Nikolai just like that. And, I mean, I know he beat him up pretty good and roughed him up until he got cooked, but that still looked like dead for Nikolai. I mean, for a guy that was supposed to be getting a push, that was pretty much the knife through the heart of it. Butch comes in, he hammers away, gets Luke, and then Luke comes in, they double team a bit. Luke heads up top, eats some knees coming off. Sarge is the gut buster, he's gone. Butch comes in, Sarge whips into the corner, hits him with a hard clothesline, he's out. And just like that, we're down to 1-on-1. Tito comes in, runs through Sarge with a flurry, picks up a near fall. Slaughter battles back, hits a neck breaker, tries to work the back. Piper says he never met a Latin person that didn't have the guts to go all the way. Sarge cuts off a comeback, keeps beating on Tito, going for covers, but Tito won't stay down. Sarge shoves Tito into the ref, but Tito comes back with a flying forearm, but he's too tired to cover. So out comes Adnan, wobbling into the ring very slowly, hits Tito with the flagpole, and then Sarge gets him with the camel clutch. The ref comes over and taps Sarge. He releases and celebrates, thinking, okay, he won. But no, the ref has DQ'd Sergeant Slaughter, and Tito advances. I hate that stupid finish. It's so lame. And this was just a job boy match. Everyone looked silly besides Tito and Slaughter. And even that had a dumb ending with Adnan moving so slow. I mean, I don't know how else they were going to get around this. Like, I get why Sarge wasn't going to win and why they wanted to add another face to the last match. But there had to be a better way to do this. Like, just have Sarge go nuts and just start beating the shit out of Tito with a chair. Like, why not do that? Why do we need this nonsense with Adnan wobbling around? But fine, whatever. I went a 1.5 stars, which is probably even too much credit for them, Scott.
Yeah, I gave this a 1.5 too. Total time, thank God, I think it's the shortest match of the night, 10:37. This is fucking Job City. Maybe Akeem was better off going back to deepest, darkest Africa, because this is hot garbage. Nikolai's your captain. What does that tell you? It's not even fucking Tito. It's Nikolai, only because he's feuding with Slaughter. But I did like the face paint. The face paint looked awesome, actually. Yeah, there's really not much to say here, Johnny. It's just Job City here. And I agree with Johnny, with JR. I think we could have had a better ending for Slaughter here. I could have seen him just beating the shit out of Tito and have Tito limp into the finale than have fucking 99-year-old Adnan stooging around with a fucking flag and shit. So, yeah, there's not much to do here. This is just a prelude to the final.
Yeah, very rough. 1 star. At least they kept it short, but I hate when they did it twice this night, where they put the heel against the odds 4-on-1.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. I hate that booking, and they killed the crowd on this one. Even the Bushwhackers are usually good for firing at the crowd. When they doubled up on Slaughter, you figured I would get a nice pop or two, but they were dead for that too. And Nikolai as a face, just an all-time bust. Just terrible. To put him as a captain and for him to just to go down and pretty much no offense whatsoever.
And to flip it, they could have just done it the opposite way. Have the mercenaries take out, the Bushwhackers and Nikolai, and then Tito pin all the guys anyway, pretty much. So just let Tito run through the other guys and come back against the odds, and then Slaughter gets pissed and gets DQ. That's a much better way to go about it.
Yeah, it's horrible when they have the heel
especially
go down
twice in
4-1.
one night.
Yeah.
And it's exactly, and it's going to happen again later. Rough.
But
as
to your point, it's because they booked themselves in a corner because they're trying to fit into that last match. So
right,
they want to keep Sarge away for future endeavors.
Yeah, we'll talk about that grand finale match because it does cause them a lot of issues. All right, Moody's with the Visionaries and Ted DiBiase, Slick and Virgil. It's quite the crew. Martel talks about their teamwork and unity. Says they combined what they had tonight with the money of DiBiase and his resources, and they're unstoppable. DiBiase says he's laid all the incentive money out for them to survive again. There's a lot of bad blood with him and Hogan and Warrior, and that'll cause, between Hogan and Warrior, which will cause a lot of issues, and they will be the survivors. We then head to maybe the biggest moment of the night as far as the hype goes, as Mean Gene is by the egg. And he breaks out the shank of the evening, which is a classic Gene statement there. Says things are heating up, and that means the egg is cracking. Just as predicted, Gene runs down some options, narrates the hatching. The egg blows, and it isn't the Eggman. It isn't King Kong Bundy. It's a giant turkey type thing. The crowd boos. Piper is yucking it up, like way over the top as Gene is sorting it out. Look at him. Gene says it has legs like his mother-in-law, which is probably the line of the whole thing. Piper's dying. He's just losing his mind as the turkey hops down and gobbles. Gene translates him and he announces his name is officially the Gobbledy Gooker. They head to the ring. They dance the turkey in the straw as Gorilla and Piper are cracking jokes. Piper says the kids are going nuts. They love him, which is like not far from truth as it could be. The crowd does come around a little bit when Gene starts dancing. That shows that he should have been in the egg because he's more over than the Gobbledy Gooker. And just silly nonsense. It goes way too long. Like they drag this out so much. The Gobbledy Gooker portrayed by Hector Guerrero, of all people, sitting inside the suit, dancing around. Just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I guess they wanted some kind of stupid mascot at this point, but it's just so ham-fisted and overdone. It goes nowhere. And Piper is like, him and Gorilla are just ridiculous on commentary, yucking it up, going way over the top, talking about how funny it is, and the kids loving it. And it's whatever. It's like all-time Russell Crap level stuff.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's worse than I even remembered. And I think it's because, number one, I didn't see too many kids in the crowd. And number two, at this time, it's about 10 o'clock. So whatever kids are there probably are cooked from
right.
eating dinner, turkey all day, and coming here. So they lost out on that. But I think the plan was to have him be like a wrestler. So why don't you have like a stooge heel come in and then he could show some wrestling moves and take him out. somebody that was
right.
I don't know,
or have the gobbledygooker be a heel in the mask and he attacks someone. Like have it be something like that.
Yeah.
Or you made a really good point that I never really thought about. The point they do it in the night with a crowd's burnt. Like, should this have opened the show? Or been after the Warrior match, and then you could have erased it with Taker or something at least.
Would have been less of a disaster.
Maybe
why don't you have was Rooster still around? Why don't you have Rooster come out as a heel and say, "Hey, I'm the only fucking poultry in this federation.
I'm the only clucker."
Yeah, epic disaster.
What a mess. Yeah, I mean this is a disaster. This is definitely the inaugural Wrestle Crap Hall of Famer. This pretty much got them started to where they are now. This blows. There's nothing much more to say. I mean,
not even Gene could save it. He was like, "What's that? What's this gobbledygook you're saying?" It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mean Gene tripping. It doesn't add anything. And he does have poor Hector's got these bony legs. It's pretty rough. This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. I don't know who thought this was a great idea. It's not. It was terrible.
I think Piper's worse than the gobbledygooker. He's like ridiculous during this fucking thing.
Yeah.
So over the top.
If this was like 1986 and this stupid thing hatched on like an episode of TNT, all right, fine. Nobody took that crap seriously anyway. But to do this, to have people pay to watch this, not good.
Well, I'll give. I mean, it was part of the draw. Like, I think there was interest in it as part. Like, they hyped the shit out of it. The payoff is just terrible. So fine, make people pay, but you have to do this. And I like John's point. Like, so late in the night, no one gives a fuck at this point. Like, this is like the modern day Mania where they jam in the Rock with the flamethrower late in the night. Like, do it at the top, and maybe it's not nearly as bad. That's a big part of it.
Yeah. But they already had the great debut with the Undertaker, so
right.
it was a little too much to ask for two great debuts. So they were 500. Taker coming out of the egg, yeah.
What if Sarge hung out at our ringside and beat the shit out of the gobbledygooker, or something to get his heat back? Give me something, anything.
Yeah, it's rough, pretty rough.
Oh, they love him. The kids are going crazy. All right, Sean Moody's backstage with Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, and Tito Santana. Hogan says he isn't worried about the odds given who's on his team and the Hulkamaniacs. He's been around for a while. He's always been ruled out, but he's never seen intensity like the Warrior, and he and the Reba Man have been around since day one, and they will survive. Tito says it's all about the grand finale. They're here to survive. Warrior rambles. Hogan wraps it up. It's kind of a cool little three-man team, and I like that they're giving Tito this moment. It's like a Lifetime Achievement Award for him.
Yeah, for all the hard work. Yeah, definitely.
No, I agree. No, this is a good guy. Perfect guy to put in the spot.
And that brings us to our grand finale match of Survival to close out the night as Rick Martel and Power and Glory, the Warlord and Ted DiBiase take on Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and Tito Santana. Martel leads out a squad, the second group entrance of the night. Kind of cool. DiBiase and Virgil are next. It's a good way to set him up for the main event. Tomorrow is a big title match. Hogan marches out first to a big pop as Piper wonders if him and Warrior can really trust each other. And then, of course, the cool achievement award for Tito. And then Warrior gets a good welcome as he comes in. And we get started with Tito Warlord, breaking up that SummerSlam 90 match. Hogan punches Warlord 2. Tito lands a flying forearm for the immediate elimination. That was cool. Like, again, Tito gets a big moment. And it covers Warlord because he gets caught off guard. So he doesn't look like he got jobbed out too much. Plus the Hogan assist. So Tito pinned 3 guys with a flying forearm tonight. It's a good night for him overall. So Roma comes in. He jumps Tito, works him over, snaps off a nice power slam. Ted gets the tag, keeps bringing the heat, but Tito ducks the clothesline and follows with a flurry. Tito loads up the forearm, but Ted ducks it. Tito pops up and charges, but Ted catches him with a stun gun to send him to the locker room, ending his career night. Hogan barges in, but Ted catches him with a clothesline, tags Herc. Herc gets his power strikes going, tags Roma, gets an axe off the top. The heels quick tag and work the back, keeping Hogan grounded for a while, gets him near falls. Power and Glory end up in the ring, hit the powerplex, and this is where they lose me because Hogan just blows out of it and mows down Roma with a clothesline. Like, why did we need to kill the powerplex? You could accomplish everything you wanted in this match without having to even have that move. Why not have Hogan pop up and knock Roma off the top rope or something? Or have them hit it on Tito and eliminate him that way? Like, why did we need Hogan kicking out of this fucking move. It makes no sense to me.
At 1.5, not even he couldn't even wait till 2. It was like a 1.5. Man,
it was so douchey. It was just like Hogan's been put over enough tonight. We didn't need him kicking out of the Powerplex, which has been lethal move. And it was lethal tonight. They killed Shawn with it. It was stupid. Warrior gets a tag. He mauls Martel and then tags Hogan back in. Hits the big boot. Clotheslines Martel outside. He runs away. Takes the pussy way out for the count out. Whatever. Fits his gimmick, I guess. Hogan works over DiBiase. Nails the boot. Drops the leg. Sends him packing. I mean, why not have Ted be the one that gets counted out instead of Martel if you're protecting him for tomorrow night? Odd decision there. At least Warrior didn't pin him. We didn't get that again like we do with Rude. We beat him before the title match. Hercules comes in. Hogan catches him with a scoop power slam, tags Warrior, comes in hot, mows him down, hits a splash for the win. This ended up being a real waste of time. It was a cool novelty. The idea is neat. Being able to check off the winners and do your prediction and follow the card. Like, all that part was cool. But all it did in the end was fuck up the Powerplex and beat DiBiase the night before his world title match. It accomplished nothing else. Nobody benefited. Maybe Tito getting his moment. But other than that, it's no benefit. We get Hogan and Warrior pose down, which is kind of cool. Maybe teases Mania 7 if you think they're going that route. Beyond that, though, this is a bucket of nothing to end the show. Johnny, I went 1.5 stars.
Yeah, very flat. 2 stars. I like, to your point, at least they gave Tito one last pin. You figured that he'd be the first one out. But at least before out, they let him get the win over the Warlord. But another thing, a theme during the night was Roddy and Gorilla trying to explain it. Like I guess they couldn't say like faces and heels, but they were like acting like confused. Like Roddy's like, oh, I got to write down, who's winner and who's on one side, like without outright saying, like the good guys who win are going to be on one team and the bad guys on the other. So they were all confused throughout the night. But the concept didn't work. That's probably why they haven't repeated it since. And the Hogan kick out at 1.5 was horrible. And another worst thing was stupid Roma getting up and celebrate, which made it look doubly worse.
I'm surprised they didn't try it again, like in the 2000s or something. It seems like something they'd give a shot, but I guess they know it'd probably be a waste of a match and a time on the card.
Anything after 2000s is a blur. I think actually they might have, but
no, they never did another grand finale match. That's it. This is the only one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, because by then they started putting title matches in, and for the most part, title match is the last match. So if you're gonna have a grand finale and it's not the last match, it's not even worth it.
One good thing though, I like how they gave Warrior the last pin, so to still keep your champs strong. And plus, they're pumping for tomorrow night with the main event with DiBiase. But 2 stars, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny pretty much said it all. Let's see, your match time is let's see, 9:07. So quick out. Tito gets a pretty good night. Hogan and Warrior need to end the show because at this point you still weren't quite sure what you were doing with either of them as the calendar would turn to 1991. So you might as well keep those 2 strong. They're your 2 biggest baby faces, your 2 big money makers. Poor DiBiase has to eat another leg drop. It's so sad. But you know what? Herc's last. That's not bad for Power and Glory. He might as well be the last guy pinned. So that's nice. You could have had Hogan DiBiase last and go, oh, what a shock. But at least Warrior gets the last pin, as Johnny said. And it's actually Herc that's the one who's last. So that's not too bad either. In fact, Hogan, they split the Power and Glory pins. Hogan pins Roma and Warrior pins Hercules. But again, I mean, just an ending to send the crowd home happy. Warrior and Hogan celebrating in the ring. And there's your ending. Pretty predictable. Not a bad final match, but yeah, definitely not something that would be worth doing again in the future.
No, never again.
No.
Well, I mean, it could have been if booked right. It's just they ended up putting themselves into a corner, and they had guys they needed to push that they didn't want in the main event, but shouldn't be losing. The whole thing was stupid. Like, if they didn't do this, you could have had Slaughter win his match. You could have had Taker survive. There's like other things they could have done that would have helped way more than this match accomplished. But
right
at the end of the day, they tried to add some stakes. I think they probably realized that the Survivor Series gimmick really had no stakes involved with the tag matches. So I think they were just trying to add something to make it, feel like, okay, there's something to it at least. But All right, let's do some awards here. Match of the night, I went with the Dream Team, $1 Million Team, mainly for the Brett DiBiase sequence and the Taker debut.
I'm gonna go with the opener, the Perfect and the Warriors.
I'm gonna go with the $1 Million Team with Taker, because just so not just with his debut, but just all the different combinations that were in the ring, and Taker putting over Dusty's beating, and I'll go with that one.
All right, I'm guessing we don't have much debate on this worst match, the Cousin Jr. of the night, which is the Alliance versus the Mercenaries.
Yes. Poor Nickel there.
All right, so MVP, there's 3 guys, and I'm not sure. I'll let you guys tell me, but I think Bret Hart is in the running. Undertaker, obviously, this is the show that's synonymous with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tito. I mean, Tito had a great night. He was kind of it was a lifetime achievement for him. I guess you kind of have to go Undertaker, because when you think of him, you think this show, and he's the biggest thing to come out of it. But Bret and Tito really had good nights.
I want to go with Tito, but I'm going with DiBiase.
Oh yeah, I know he had a good night too.
Yeah, I'm going with Teddy.
I'm gonna go with Tito, because this is pretty much the last.
Oh yeah,
great,
it's the last chance he's gonna have.
It's the last great night he'll ever have. So I'll go with Tito.
And I mean, he did have the one back at Saturday Main Event. We gave him MVP. So, and unlikely 2 MVPs for Tito in 1990, which is cool.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, for all intents and purposes, yes, this is pretty much it for him. All right, Frenchie Martin for the worst worker of the night. I went with Boris Zukov. Pathetic showing, and he took Hakeem's spot, so fuck him.
Yeah, I agree.
Nah, I go to a Tugboat.
Yeah, he was fucking lazy.
Gorilla didn't even know he was fucking in the match. That's the ultimate disrespect.
And it's so weird because he's been such a big part of the story and the way they and he takes Earthquake out pretty much, so it was odd. All right, best moment, I went with obviously Undertaker's debut.
Yes, Taker's debut.
Hard not to choose that.
Yes.
Not the Gobbledygook Gooker. And the Warrior Award for most juiced up, I went with the Warlord, who was about to explode on this night.
El Tornado, Mr. Von Erich.
He's a good one too.
Yeah.
Scott?
I'm thinking the Gooker.
He's juiced up, and that was steroids.
Nah. God. Jesus. Warriors juiced. Bravo.
Oh, there's so much juice at this point.
Oh my God, there's fucking nandrolone all over this goddamn building.
The Road Warriors, I mean, they're jacked up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Snuka's fucking roided out of his mind.
He is. Axe could have used it. I'll go with Warlord.
Okay.
We never saw a guy whose nipples were pointing inward.
I mean, he's massive. All right, worst hair to me was easily Axe.
Oh, Axe.
Oh my God. It'll look like a rug.
That 10 seconds of poof, man. Oh my God. Low flow showers in Hartford. Man.
All right, and the final grade. This is a real tough. I think all in 1990 we said the same thing, right? I mean, it's a real tough show to grade because the nostalgia quotient is so high. You have a great all-time moment in the Undertaker's arrival, and it's a memorable show. Like, you remember a lot of things from the show. That said, there's not really a lot of great matches. We peak at maybe 3 stars. There's a couple some garbage in there, but you got Hogan Warrior, which is a cool moment. So, it's not a bad show to me. It's not a great show. It's in the middle, so I went 5.5. I think Undertaker's debut really adds a lot to the importance of the show.
Yeah, that keeps it from a total shit grade, but I'll go 5.
I'm gonna get. I mean, I think the Taker debut kind of outshadows the Gooker nonsense. So I'm gonna give it 5.5. It's a fun show. Tito looks good, but the matches progressively get worse, and that finale is dog shit. So 5.5 for me.
All right, there you have it. That'll do it for Survivor Series 1990. Scott, we're back in 2 weeks' time. Peter Winston will be here for the main event the night after. Be a quick hit show, just an hour on NBC before we return to MSG later this month. Over in the North-South Connection Podcast Network, we had a new episode of From Montreal to Memphis today. Aaron and Reg talked about how The Undertaker should wrap his career up in the WWE. Tomorrow is a brand new episode of TNA Never Dies. That'll be on Tuesday. Myself, Aaron, and Jenny looked at the June 26, 2002 edition of NWA TNA pay-per-view. Wednesday, of course, is Chad Day. I believe Carolina Dreamin' is due up this week. I mentioned before Thursday we'll have a great Wrestling Warzone breaking down WrestleMania 12. Again, really excited about that. And on Saturday, Aaron, George, and I have a new No Holds Barred looking at the previewing the next tournament to come on my Twitter feed. So that'll be there as well. Again, shows 5 days a week, a big back catalog. Subscribe today. Really appreciate it. Facebook.com/North South Connection. And I'm on Twitter at JT the Pod Guy. Scott, what do you got going on?
Check me out on Twitter at PTB Podfather. We have a new episode of Main Event later this week. Nate, Steve, and I will preview this coming Sunday's Takeover in Your House. And, of course, we also do some fine TNA Classic pay-per-view recaps. We're a little ahead of JR and the gang. We are at the end of 02, so check that out. And then when we match up, maybe compare and see if our opinions differ or not. When you get to the Russo era, JR, just warn you, things get a little different. But check it out. So we'll be doing that later this week. Dr. G and I, of course, with this weekend's NWA Saturday special. A couple of new shows will be debuting on the Place to Be Wrestling Network. One involving Mr. Crosland, similar to the topic we just discussed a moment ago. And Ben Locke will be premiering a new show as well. So check that out also. And my Twitter follow throughout the year because I love this show so much, because it's what got us all started. I like to do some anniversary tweets. We had a very busy May. I might have missed a day or two, but I try to remind everyone when there's an anniversary of a pay-per-view that JR and I have done a show for, and Johnny's been on many of them as well. I try to remind everyone. So now that we're in June, so expect a lot of King of the Rings, Bad Bloods, Vengeances, and some MSGs too. So check out my Twitter and go back to the back catalog of the Place to Be Podcast for the month of June. In fact, I won't tell you what day, but one of the days of the month of June, the date, JR and I did 4 shows. I won't tell you what date. You'll have to wait and see. But one date in the month of June, 4 WWF shows occurred in history that JR and I did reviews for. So stay tuned for that as well. And I want to continue to pimp the GWCW project. I do it on every single show. As you can see, Drew Wardlaw's getting involved. I mean, JR, let's be honest, and Johnny, this may be the one that has the most participation we've had of the 4 we've done.
Yeah.
People are just jumping in and having so much fun. Maybe it's because it's a finite amount.
Yeah, it's more manageable, and WCW's got a lot of nostalgia baked around it too.
Yeah, so we're having a ton of fun. I actually recorded a pod blast with the last week. You'll check that out later this month. I know you're doing some over on the No-So. We're having just so much fun with it. So get your ballots, watch some matches. If you want to do a pod blast, reach out to Drew or whoever. Let's have some fun with it, because I think I'm looking forward to when the ballots start pouring in after New Year's and see what people come up with, because this one's going to be I think number 1's going to be very different around the horn. So keep participating and having a lot of fun with it.
Johnny, anything you got going on?
All right, just a 3-way dance on the No-So Network with you and the Queen, and at Jedi7 on Twitter.
All right, very good.
Oh, and Johnny and I will have a Year in Pop at some point in the next couple weeks as well. The next Year in Pop on the Pop feed.
Yes, sir.
All right, that'll do it. Like I said, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back. Until then, Scott, happy birthday. Hope you had a great day. Everyone else, take care. We'll talk in a couple weeks.
Happy birthday.